Chapter 500 Devoted Leia, King of Yellow Gold joined. Zhou gaze landed on the number of Extreme Dragon Race members at the top. At least 3 new Extreme Dragon Race members had joined his Dragon God army. Now, his Dragon God army already had a total of 68 pure-blooded dragons. Their combined combat strength was comparable to a million-man troop. When they fully matured, it would be easy for a pure-blooded dragon to destroy a kingdom. After that, Zhou and Horus didn't talk much. Horus returned to the area of his dragon sacrifice holy tower, and Zhou also returned to his beginner-grade Lord's paradise. Just as he arrived at the entrance of the blessed land, Zhou saw someone waiting for him quietly. It was Leia. At this moment, Leia was wearing a light pink dress. She had put on some makeup, and under the moonlight, she was extremely beautiful. Zhou was dumbfounded. Zhou. It was Leia's voice that woke him up. This is the first time I've seen you dressed like this. Zhou came back to his senses and smiled. I dressed up for you, Leia said. After saying that, her face immediately turned slightly red. It's cold outside. Let's go in first. Zhou extended an invitation. Leia hummed softly, and the two of them walked in together. The next day, Zhou opened his eyes in a daze and saw Leia sleeping soundly beside him. He moved slightly, and was about to get up, but he implicated the other party. Then, her face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. I forgot to pull it out, Zhou said awkwardly. Leia seemed to have shrunk further into herself. Does it still hurt? Let me treat it for you. After Zhou left, he asked with concern. He had a bunch of skills on him, and there was no lack of healing skills. Healing such a small injury was not a problem at all. Leia did not say anything, and only nodded lightly. Zhou was about to treat her, but when he saw her delicate body, his heart warmed. Let's do it again, he suddenly said. Leia, be gentle. Zhou did not say anything, and began to plow with all his might. It was late in the morning. Zhou spent the entire morning before walking out of the bedroom in satisfaction. No one couldn't blame him for taking so long. After all, he was almost 40 years old if he added up both his previous and current life, but he had never had such an experience. It was normal for him to not be able to resist doing it for a while longer. Greetings, my lord. Aaliyah and Atli were guarding the door. When they saw Zhou come out, they immediately greeted him respectfully. Prepare some nourishing delicacies and send them to Leia, Zhou instructed. Yes, my lord, the two girls said respectfully. Zhou nodded and walked out of the door. Princess Leia, do you need to nourish anything recently? This is the first time I've heard the Lord make such a request. By the way, what was that noise last night? It sounded weird. Ali asked curiously. Children shouldn't meddle in the affairs of adults. Aaliyah blushed at that, and gave Atli a reproachful look. She was a few years older than Atli, so she knew more things. The sounds from last night almost made her legs go weak, and she couldn't stand. Atli pouted, feeling wronged. Who's young? I'm already very old, okay? Zhou looked at the sunlight outside and sighed. A gentle land, a hero's tomb. This was the first time he had walked out of his residence, when it was almost noon in the time he had been in the high continent. It really took a long time. He was still thinking of settling the matter with the Taiyan kingdom today. From tomorrow onwards I must wake up early every day. Zhou made up his mind. As for what happened in the Taiyan kingdom, it would depend on whether he could complete it in the remaining time. Even though these 3 days were a rest period, it was better to resolve it as soon as possible. My lord. At this moment, Baiyin walked over quickly from afar. Please forgive me, my lord. I saw that my lord was busy, so I took the initiative to lead troops to clear the Time Ruins and Monster Ranch. I also summoned the golems in the golem lair. This is the list of loots. Please take a look, my lord. Baiyin placed her hands on the list of loots, and said respectfully. However, he did not know if it was an illusion. Zhou felt that Baiyin's gaze seemed to be filled with resentment. Does she know what I was up to last night? She had to. He personally led troops to clean up the monster ranch every day, but he was absent today. When Baiyin saw this situation, she would definitely come over to inquire. Perhaps she would have heard the voice at that time. When Zhou thought of this, he could not help but feel helpless. My lord Image. Ahem. It's okay. When I don't have time, as the 1st Legion commander of our Blazing Sun territory, you should naturally be responsible for this matter. Zhou said. It's my duty to do so. Leia nodded. When Zhou heard this, his gaze landed on the list of loots. She had obtained a total of 40,123,960 green bronze tier mist cores, 12,000, 3950 white silver tier mist cores, 6,219,875 yellow gold tier mist cores, 3,507,875 white platinum tier mist cores, and 113,600 diamond tier mist cores. There were also 1,217,780 soldier type class change certificates, 95,000 king of yellow gold recruitment books, 95,000 king of yellow gold class change certificates, 40,035 poison crossbow soldier recruitment books, 384 elemental archer recruitment books, 132,200 aurora cavalry recruitment books, 180,000 violent storm spirit recruitment books, 180,000 violent storm spirit class change certificates, 132 proof of legion fragments, 243,984 true faith tier scarlet crystals, 161,105 pious tier scarlet crystals, 129,960 fanatic tier scarlet crystals, 201 white platinum tier and yellow gold tier mount contracts, 60,000 iron-eating bear pet eggs, 60,000 Fear Falcon wings and Type 3 Fear Falcon radar and 5 million units of raw gold. As for loots such as the light drawing crystal, the tree core gem, and the elemental gem, there was no need to elaborate. Zhou was very satisfied with the list of loots, especially the list of spoils of war of the King of Yellow Gold. What monster ranch does the King of Yellow Gold occupy now? Zhou suddenly asked. Reporting to my lord, Mugu now controls a total of 34 monster ranches. Among them, the 2 monster ranches of the Desert Fog Lizard, Sword Shield Soldiers, the 2 monster ranches of the Wild Sand Believers, Puteo Soldiers, and the 3 monster ranches of the Sand Men Light Drawing Crystals, have all been replaced by the King of Yellow Gold. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Mugu was indeed worthy of his lord talent. His thoughts were exactly what he wanted. As a special grade advanced soldier type of the Sword Shield Soldiers, the ability of the King of Yellow Gold could perfectly replace the Sword Shield Soldiers and Puteo Soldiers. As for the Sandman that produced the Light Drawing Crystal, with the supreme defense around, the Light Drawing Crystal should naturally withdraw from the historical stage. Have you used up the recruitment books and class change certificate? Zhou asked. It's used up. We've recruited a total of 447,619 soldiers, and upgraded all 95,000 Sword Shield soldiers in the Blazing Sun Army to the special soldier type, King of Yellow Gold. The total number of soldiers in the Blazing Sun Territory's 3 legions is now 2,457,903. Bai Yin sounded excited when she reported. When Zhou heard this, he could not help but smile. Chapter 501 Reduced Number of Human Lords on Cerulean Planet. Gains from the Marketplace. Zhou was very satisfied. There were more than 9 million soldiers. He was confident that he could easily defeat the Taiyan Kingdom at its peak with this army, even without relying on the Star Alliance. Not to mention the current Taiyan Kingdom. Call a King of Yellow Gold soldier over. Also inform the Lords of the Star Alliance to gather in an hour with enough soldiers. Tell them that there's a big battle to fight. Zhou said in a low voice. Yes, my lord, Bai Yin said respectfully. She did not leave immediately. My lord. In the morning, 11 professionals with very high professional levels came to our Blazing Sun territory and said that they wanted to join our territory when you were busy. Vice City Lord Zheng has already approved their request at this moment. They are already official subjects of our Blazing Sun territory. Do you want to see him? Zhou was stunned for a moment before reacting. His eyes lit up. 11 professionals with very high professional levels? Are they the 10 talents attracted by his reputation rating, and 1 mythical reputation rating talent that were rewarded by the Lord of all races announcement yesterday? Let them come over. Zhou immediately said. Yes, my lord, Bai Yin said respectfully. Then he turned around and left. Zhou took this opportunity to open the world channel and take a rough look. Brothers, the Myriad Races Lord Battlefield event has finally ended. What reward did you obtain? I'm at the yellow gold tier elementary grade. I obtained 400,000 units of basic resources and 5 yellow gold tier combat professionals. I'm envious. I stopped fighting when I reached the green bronze tier elementary grade. I only obtained 400 units of basic resources and 1 green bronze tier elementary grade combat professionals. What trash. Who can I blame if I'm not strong enough? Dragon Lady Lord. I reached the extraordinary tier advanced grade in this Lord Battlefield. I was rewarded with 1.6 billion units of basic resources, 200 million units of intermediate grade resources, 1,000 basic elemental gems, and 100 diamond tier advanced grade combat professionals. Take off. Amazing, amazing, amazing. You're at the extraordinary tier. Why aren't you rewarded with extraordinary tier professionals? Only diamond tier ones. It's not bad to have obtained diamond tier professionals at this stage. Do you think extraordinary tier professionals are cabbages? You can be given just because you want them. That's right. As far as I know, extraordinary tier professionals, be it lifestyle professionals or combat professionals, are top existences in the kingdom level lord faction. We're only the lords of the myriad races under the kingdom. How can we have extraordinary tier professionals? Diamond tier professionals are already top-notch. Have you heard? It's said that there's a lord talent among our human lords. He said that after the end of the myriad races lord battlefield this time, our cerulean planet's human lords lost nearly 1 billion. We should only have about 4 billion lords left. Fuck, is that true? Of course it's true. That counting Emperor's lord talent is extraordinary tier. If you don't believe him, don't you believe in the lord talent of the supreme will? Sigh. There are fewer and fewer lords on the cerulean planet. I hope I can survive until the end, even if I don't have to live as a lord. As long as he's alive. As long as he's alive +1. As long as you're alive plus 10,086. There are only about 4 billion lords left on the cerulean planet. Zhou could not help but fall silent when he saw their discussion. When they first arrived in this high continent, there were more than 8 billion cerulean planet lords. Then what should he do about the King of 10,000 Kings event in 3 days? What about the activities after the King of 10,000 Kings? Zhou thought for a while, and could not help but take a deep breath. He could not protect all the lords of the cerulean planet. What he could do was, so that he could only develop himself well. In the future, he might be able to rely on his strength to obtain more race divine artifacts. This way, he could indirectly help his lords. As for the rest, he was helpless. Then, he looked at the lord function of the myriad races lord battlefield. Then he realized that the function of the myriad races lord battlefield that had been maintained yesterday had already ended. Zhou opened it curiously and realized that the myriad races lord battlefield had changed from a real battlefield to a virtual battlefield. The lords or lord generals could bring soldiers into the myriad races lord battlefield or lord battlefield of your race to compete. However, unlike the real battlefield in the past, once a lord brought soldiers into the lord battlefield, there would be real casualties. Unless the lord had the resurrection token and the territory rebirth token, the dead soldiers would really be dead. It was different now. In the current myriad races lord battlefield, even if injuries and deaths happened on the battlefield, it would only be virtual after the lords brought the soldiers into the matching or ranking. As long as they returned to the real world, everything would return to normal. This was almost equivalent to the lords leading the soldiers to play a virtual battlefield game. The risk could be said to have decreased greatly. Moreover, the Supreme Will no longer had any rank requirements for the lords. The lords of all races could reach any level in the function of the myriad races lord battlefield. The rank had already become a pure honorary title. There was no combat strength enhancement effect. In the future, even if the lords increased their ranks on the myriad races lord battlefield, Their upgraded titles no longer had any special effects. Only the rank title he had obtained from the event would still have the combat strength enhancement effect. Thinking of this, Zhou suddenly felt lucky. Fortunately, he had already reached the level of strongest lord and strongest lord of all races in the Lord Battlefield of all races in the first 3 days. Otherwise, if he did not obtain these 2 titles, then even if he occasionally obtained the title of the strongest lord in the Lord Battlefield of all races in the future, this title would probably be useless. In the future, when he faced other lords with the title of a high-level lord, he would be suppressed by their higher-level titles for the rest of his life. And now, he would always rely on his rank title to suppress lords of the same race, and all races below him. It was not bad for him even if he could only suppress a portion of their strength. Advances were always accumulated bit by bit. Then this myriad races Lord Battlefield can almost be considered a pure training place for our myriad races Lord Battlefield. When I'm free, we can let the generals bring new soldiers in to train, so that they won't be uncomfortable on the battlefield. Zhou thought. Then he looked at his current rank. Zhou heaved a sigh of relief as he realized that after the maintenance of the myriad races Lord Battlefield, he was still first place, or the strongest lord, and the strongest lord of all races. The ranks that the lords had previously obtained from the event, such as the Lord Battlefield of your race, or the myriad races Lord Battlefield, were still intact. Just as well, he would not have to start fighting again. At this moment, he opened the marketplace and checked the loots from the monster ranch he had sold yesterday, and the loots from the final battlefield. Among them the 1.5 million soldier type class change certificates and excess loots produced by the monster ranch yesterday morning had been sold for a total of 3,814,208,000 black iron tier mist cores. As for the extra 30 million skill books and 50 million pieces of equipment he had obtained from the battlefield of the final battlefield last night, he had sold a total of 186,680,203,900 black iron tier mist cores. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. If these 2 transactions were all converted by the heavenly mist treasure bag, he would have earned a total of 1,905 legendary tier mist cores. With this money, I should be able to buy any goods I want in the Lord shop, right? Chapter 502 Talent with Mythical Reputation Rating. Butcher Wuxia. Zhou suddenly felt a little restless. He wanted to go to the Lord shop to see what was on sale today. At this moment, 12 figures walked over from afar. They were old and young. Their attire and even their race were different, making Zhou a little surprised. They arrived in front of Zhou. "Greetings, my lord," the 12 people said respectfully. "Are you the subjects who joined me today?" Zhou dismissed the idea of going to the Lord shop for the time being and asked. "Yes, my lord. His lordship's territory is the territory of the strongest lord of all races. Who in the entire high continent doesn't know? We're just the first lucky ones here. In the future, there will definitely be more professionals coming from all over the high continent, or even the myriad worlds to seek refuge with the Lord." A white-haired old man in the lead smiled. Even though the old man was old, he was wearing damaged blood-red armor and carrying 2 blood-colored axes on his back. His entire body was lean and strong, and his eyes were bloodshot. Zhou's gaze landed on the elder one, and he instantly felt a murderous aura that seemed to want to fight the world assaulted his face. Zhou's expression turned cold. This old man was not simple. At this moment, a throbbing suddenly came from the depths of his soul. This throbbing seemed to tell Zhou that the old man in front of him was a family member connected by blood with some differences. This stunned him. "And you are?" Zhou said politely. "I'm Guoqiao, nicknamed the Butcher." "My lord, just call me Old Gua." Guoqiao chuckled. Zhou nodded. At the same time, Guoqiao's attribute information also appeared in front of him. Subject, Guoqiao, Hero Unit. Hero Title, Butcher. Position, Low-tier Deity Level Hero Fate Level. Territory, Blazing Sun Territory Strength Level. Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Heavily Injured. Ability Overview, the last descendant of the Dragon Slayer. He used his lowly bloodline to kill special life forms with noble bloodlines. He has been wandering on the high continent since he was young. He used slaughtering high-level bloodline existences as his livelihood, and forcefully advanced to the epic tier elementary grade, with his green bronze tier elementary grade potential. Not long ago he had personally killed a low-tier deity, but he was also severely injured because of it. His strength had fallen to the diamond tier elementary grade. The current Wuxia had already bathed in all the divine blood of that god spirit, and used this opportunity to become a hero. His future was already limitless. Bloodline. Human bloodline green bronze tier intermediate grade. 100%. Skills talent. Dragon slaying will talent. Song in bloodbath talent. Ignores pain talent. Death of glory. Hero skills. Dragon slaying axe technique. Hero skills. God's twilight. Epic tier elementary grade butcher axe technique. Epic tier elementary grade berserker. Epic tier elementary grade killing intent soaring. Epic tier elementary grade accurate flying axe. Epic tier elementary grade berserker roar. Epic tier elementary grade fight to the death. Loyalty. 100 dead loyal. Potential. Green bronze tier intermediate grade. Hero biography. 1. He is a dragon slayer. Hero's personal reputation rating +10. High continent reputation +100. 2. With the body of an epic tier elementary grade dragon slayer, he killed a low tier intermediate grade god spirit 2 levels higher, and became a hero with a low tier deity level hero fate level slot, causing countless people with noble bloodlines to be shocked and afraid. Hero's personal reputation rating +50. High continent reputation +1000. Zhou looked at the old man, who was filled with killing intent, but had a smile on his face. He finally came to a realization. No wonder he had that special feeling with him. He was the wandering dragon slayer. Zhou naturally did not forget that he still had the white platinum tier lord talent. Dragon slaying hometown. He had also obtained the identity of the dragon slayer king. Because of this, the old man in front of him was already his natural subject when he obtained this talent. This could be seen from the fact that he was already dead loyal the moment he joined the Blazing Sun territory. Welcome home. Zhou looked at him and smiled. Guo was still smiling at Zhou when he heard this, but tears had already quietly appeared in his eyes. Zhou did not comfort him. Instead, his gaze landed on the other 10 new subjects. Among these 10 new subjects, there were 3 people of foreign race and 7 humans. Zhou had seen their attribute information one by one. He realized that they were a white platinum tier advanced grade blacksmith, a white platinum tier advanced grade tailor, 2 diamond tier elementary grade musketeers, a diamond tier intermediate grade architect, a diamond tier advanced grade merchant, an extraordinary elementary grade cartographer, an extraordinary elementary grade army extermination knight, and an extraordinary tier intermediate grade beast tamer. Zhou nodded slightly. They should be talents attracted by his reputation rating. Not to mention anything else. There were only 3 extraordinary tier reputation rating talents. This ratio was already quite good. Then, the old dragon slayer in front of him, with the low tier deity level hero fate level slot, should be his mythical reputation rating talent. Killing a low tier deity intermediate grade god spirit, as an epic tier elementary grade. Then how terrifying would his combat strength be when he advanced to the legendary tier, or even the god tier? This mythical reputation rating talent was well deserved. Then his gaze landed on the last person. He was wearing yellow gold tier armor, and holding a yellow gold tier sword and yellow gold tier shield. There were also 9 yellow gold tier spears stuck in his back, making him look majestic. It was a soldier, who had just changed his profession to King of Yellow Gold. Subject, Suzheng. Territory, Blazing Sun City. Soldier type class name, King of Yellow Gold. Strength realm, extraordinary tier intermediate grade. Ability overview. Originally a normal subject of a human kingdom. Due to his poor family background, he joined a gang when he was young in order to help his family. He has been running around at the bottom level since he was young. Therefore, he knows very well the difficulties of the life of the subjects at the bottom. His dream is to follow a great lord, and let the subjects at the bottom obtain their own warmth and stability. Skill. Talent born warrior talent. Able to work hard, Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Yellow Gold Tier Sword and Shield Combined Attack. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Sword and Shield Combined Attack. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Midas Touch. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Yellow Gold Blood. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Physique Strengthening. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Physical Immunity. Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade Elemental Immunity. Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Soul Immunity. Loyalty. 99. Potential. Epic Tier Elementary Grade. Jojo looked at his skill list and nodded slightly. His skill list was very different from the skill list of the King of Yellow Gold monster he had seen previously. There were many new King of Yellow Gold soldier type skills. However, this was normal. The King of Yellow Gold monster he had seen previously was only a Yellow Gold Tier Advanced Grade. The King of Yellow Gold soldier in front of him was an Extraordinary Tier Intermediate Grade. The King of Yellow Gold of this realm would naturally have more soldier-type exclusive skills. After that, Jojo chatted with them for a while before letting them get busy. Only Jojo and Wuxia were left at the scene. "Come with me," Jojo said. Then, he walked towards the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. Wuxia followed closely behind. Soon, the two of them walked into the Lord's Paradise. The moment the door closed, before Jojo could turn around, he heard a kneeling sound. "Dragon Slayer Wuxia." "Greetings, my king." Jojo looked at them. Wuxia had already knelt down in front of him. His shoulders were trembling and tears fell. It was not sadness but excitement. The excitement of returning home, and also of seeing his elders. In this world that regarded the Dragon Slayer as a noble enemy, this was the first time Wuxia, who had been wandering alone for most of his life, had seen someone with the same Dragon Slayer will as him. Moreover, there were so many Dragon Slayers. There was also the Dragon Slayer King, whom they regarded as a king. How could he not be excited? Chapter 503 New Class Subject Bloodline Warlock. Jojo sigh. "Don't kneel. We're all home. You don't have to be so cautious." Jojo wanted to help him up. However, Guoqiao's body did not move. "The rights of a king cannot be abandoned," he said solemnly. "Fine. Rise," Jojo said in a commanding voice. "Yes, my king." Guoqiao smiled and stood up. "How have you been all these years? Did you meet any other Dragon Slayers?" Jojo asked. "My king, the Dragon Slayer is the enemy of the noble bloodline of the myriad worlds. Our ancestral teachings tell us that if we want to preserve our bloodline, we can't gather together. Therefore, I haven't encountered a second Dragon Slayer until I came to your territory," Guoqiao said. Jojo nodded. He sighed in his heart. That was the fate of the Dragon Slayer. However, his white platinum tier lord talent, Dragon Slaying Hometown, was destined to attract the Dragon Slayer, who was wandering in the outside world to gather together. There was no effect yet, but in the future, he had a faint premonition that his Dragon Slayer hometown was probably going to cause something big. He shook his head and did not think too much about it. He was the greatest Dragon Slayer leader. What he had to do now was to work hard to develop his Lord faction, before revealing his identity as a Dragon Slayer. When the time comes, he would deal with whatever came his way. After that, Jojo and Guoqiao chatted for a while more and asked him to join his Blazing Sun army in the future to fight alongside it. Towards this, Jojo had specially instructed him not to expose his identity as the Dragon Slayer, unless it was absolutely necessary in the future. As the enemy of a noble bloodline, the Dragon Slayer, countless top-notch bloodline races were clearing out the remaining Dragon Slayers in the High Continent, and even the myriad worlds. He naturally knew how to protect himself since he had survived for so long. After that, the two of them did not chat much. Jojo asked Guoqiao to report to the Blazing Sun Army's base. As for the arrangements for his future life, there were naturally corresponding people in charge. Jojo came to the gate of summoning. Prompt. "Do you want to summon immediately?" "Yes." The gate of summoning suddenly lit up with a bright white light. Then a large number of subjects walked out. A moment later, the 1,675 new subjects walked out of the gate of summoning. "Greetings, my lord." X1, 675 All the new subjects said respectfully. "Welcome to Blazing Sun City." Jojo nodded. Then, he asked all the professionals to stand up and realized that he had summoned 106 professionals this time. There were 31 more professionals than usual. Then, he began to check the information of these professional subjects. Among the 106 professional subjects, among them were 1 white platinum tier intermediate grade bloodline warlock, 1 white platinum tier intermediate grade ranger, 1 white platinum tier intermediate grade adventurer, 1 white platinum tier intermediate grade martial artist, and 1 white platinum tier intermediate grade mage. The rest were life professionals and combat professionals, below the yellow gold tier. Zhou looked at the 5 white platinum tier intermediate grade professionals, and was very satisfied. Now upgrading his territory already required a certain number of life professionals and combat professionals. For example, if his territory wanted to advance to the white platinum tier advanced grade, he needed 20 white platinum tier lifestyle professionals and 300 white platinum tier military professionals. The latter was naturally simple with the blessing of the war god. However, he did not have the enhancement of a lord talent like the blessing of the war god when it came to lifestyle professionals. Therefore, there were far fewer lifestyle professionals in his territory than military professionals. Fortunately, he had the enhancement of many titles now, making him famous. Therefore, there were many high-level life professionals among the refugees he spontaneously absorbed every day. Coupled with the white-silver tier lord talent, embrace of the conqueror, the addition of talents with reputation rating, and the essential prescriptions worth 1,000 gold for emergencies, the professional levels of many physician-related professionals increased very quickly. Therefore, with the current number of professionals in Zhou's territory, it was not a problem to advance to the diamond tier. Then, he called over the bloodline warlocks among the 5 professionals. This person was tall and thin with a western face. His eyes were as bright as an eagle's, and he had an aquiline nose. Zhou looked at his stats information. Subject, Brof Roderick. Territory, Blazing Sun City. Combat class name, Bloodline Warlock, Darkfire Demon Eagle. Profession class, White Platinum Tier Intermediate Grade. Ability overview, an ordinary bloodline warlock with an abyssal bloodline, Darkfire Demon Eagle. It is good at using dark spells and fire spells. It is born able to fly, and can also become invisible during flight. Skills, Talent Darkfire Demon Eagle Bloodline Talent, Eagle Eye Talent, Fire Elemental Control, Talent, Dark Elemental Control Talent, Flying Talent, Invisibility Talent, Fire Pillar Technique Talent, Spirit Terrorize Talent, Super Reaction Talent, Fear Shrieking. Loyalty, 82 Potential, Extraordinary Tier Advanced Grade. Zhou looked at this guy's skill list in a daze. Good God! There were no skills, all talents. Was this a bloodline warlock? Not long ago, he thought that talent was a privilege that only a small number of life forms had. However, he now understood what it meant by the world was so big that there were all kinds of strange things. He was too narrow-minded. So there was such a profession that focused on talent in this world. Therefore, he did not say much. He directly handed these new subjects to the staff to arrange. These staff would naturally arrange the most suitable place for these new subjects to stay. Then he came to the Lord shop. In this shop, old Zhou was sitting in front of a television with a controller in his hand. There was a game console in front of him, and the television screen displayed a game called Ninja Hun Dolua. Zhou Chengmin was playing enthusiastically. He threw darts one after another to destroy the alien monsters. Old Zhou! Old Zhou! Zhou knocked on the counter twice before old Zhou came back to his senses. I'm sorry, I was too engrossed. Zhou Chengmin smiled. Zhou did not mind. He had played this game when he was young, and felt that it was much more fun than the original Twilight Dolua that only knew how to shoot. Moreover, this old Zhou's strange behavior was already quite immune, so he did not show any strange expressions when he saw this scene. What's new today? Zhou asked. Old Zhou pressed the pause button and walked to the counter. He took out the 3 golden boxes under the counter, and opened them one by one. Zhou looked at them. Chapter 504 Goods from the Lord Shop. The first box contained a purple talent crystal. Zhou looked at it, and a text notification appeared. Talent. Thunder immunity. Talent effect. When lightning elemental attacks below the low-tier deity level land on you, you will not suffer any damage. The introduction of the talent effect was simple. However, its effect was extraordinary. One had to know that the thunder element was definitely the most aggressive element. Moreover, it had a very strong ability to cause damage to the body and soul. It was also because of this that many experts were flocking to thunder element skills, wanting to master a few thunder element attack skills. If he bought it and mastered this talent, he would not have to worry about the other party's thunder element attack, hurting him in front of enemies below the god tier. Zhou immediately decided to buy this skill. This talent is one of the talents of the original spirit race's Ansel. What a pity! If I obtain his talent, the World Lord or the original spirit, my bloodline talent will probably catch up to the orthodox original spirit race. If that doesn't work, the god of thunder or the god of dark clouds will do too. There will be 2 more smooth paths to becoming a god. Zhou thought greedily. Then he smiled and felt that he was a little too greedy. Talent, thunder immunity was actually top grade. Then he looked at the second box. The second item was a skill book. Zhou looked at it. He realized that it was another hero skill book. Moreover, it was the hero skill of the Ghost God General, Ghost God Military Morale. Previously, he had obtained Wu Xin's hero skill, Desired Military Morale, from the Lord Shop. Now he had actually obtained Luo Sheng's hero skill, Ghost God Military Morale. After he bought this good, he would have 2 hero skills in terms of morale. When the time comes, he would have no one better than him in terms of military control. Zhou decided to buy this good. Then he looked at the third good. The third item was nothing much for Chun. It was just an alchemy technology, Mechanostrider, white silver tier elementary grade, alchemy technology skill book. Zhou was not too disappointed. The first 2 goods were already very good after all. There was no need to bother about the third one. How many mist cores for all 3? Zhou asked. The talent, Thunder Immunity, is worth 50 legendary tier mist cores and 10 legendary tier territory tokens. The hero skill, Ghost God Military Morale, is worth 50 epic tier mist cores and 5 epic tier territory tokens. The white silver tier elementary grade alchemy technology, Mechanostrider, is worth 20 white silver tier mist cores and 2 white silver tier territory tokens. Zhou Qingmin said. Zhou raised his eyebrows. So expensive? He could not help but ask. Among the goods in the Lord's shop, this talent, Thunder Immunity, was the most expensive. This Thunder Immunity talent can be considered a low-tier deity level talent in terms of its grade. It's not expensive. Zhou Qingmin shook his head. Zhou stopped talking. Ansel was really a god spirit that had yet to grow. Without saying anything else, he took out 60 legendary tier mist cores, 55 epic tier mist cores, and 22 white silver tier mist cores from the heavenly mist treasure bag and handed them to the other party. Thank you for your business. Zhou Qingmin accepted them with a smile. I hope that you have something good next time. Am not lacking in mist cores now. Zhou did not leave immediately. He had just obtained more than 1,900 legendary tier mist cores from the marketplace. He really was not lacking in mist cores now. What he lacked were excellent Lord Shop goods. Okay, I'll see if I can get something good tomorrow. Zhou Qingmin was stunned for a moment before smiling. Zhou was taken aback too. It was just something that he had said casually. He did not expect anything really good to come out tomorrow, nor for the boss of the Lord Shop to answer in this way. Wasn't the goods that appeared in the Lord Shop random? Could he really control the production of goods? Zhou did not hold back this question in his heart. Instead, he asked him directly. However, Zhou Qingmin only laughed and did not answer this question. Zhou had no choice but to leave. My lord, come and play games with me when you're free. I have a lot of gaming discs here. There are Crimson Army, Bomb Excellence, Street Fist, and other classic games. You might get lucky playing games. Zhou Qingmin's voice suddenly came from behind. Zhou nodded thoughtfully. Could old Zhou be hinting at me? The Lord's shop will have something good on sale tomorrow as long as I play with him? Zhou thought about what Zhou Qingmin had just said as he walked towards the Imperial Ancestral Temple. After a while he made a decision. There's no loss. I'll play with him when I get back today. I'll think of it as reliving my childhood. Zhou thought. Soon, he came to the Imperial Ancestral Temple and entered the main hall. Zhou looked at the 3 ancestor statues in front of him before his gaze landed on the ancestral altar. Previously, he would come to the Imperial Ancestral Temple every day before going out to fight and obtain an ancestral blessing through the altar. However, the ancestral statues at that time were all white silver tier and yellow gold tier. Even though the corresponding ancestral blessing was not bad, it was not too awesome and exciting. Sun Simiao's ancestor statue has already reached the legendary tier. Then will you give me the legendary tier ancestral blessing if I use it again? Zhou was filled with anticipation. Then, his gaze landed on the altar again. A text notification appeared. Ancestral altar. Offer 10 sacrifices with value not lower than legendary tier mist cores to the ancestor before a war, and you will obtain the ancestral blessing. You will obtain a random temporary war enhancement effect. Prompt 1. The higher the level of the cerulean planet's ancestor statue, the higher the value of the offering, and the stronger the ancestral blessing effect obtained. Prompt 2. The Lord can only have one type of ancestral blessing at any one time. The corners of Zhou's mouth twitched. Good God. He already began to need offerings worth 10 legendary tier mist cores. If this was another lord, they might not even be able to afford this. Fortunately, he could afford it. He did not think too much about it, and took out 10 legendary tier mist cores, and placed them on the altar. A text notification appeared. You have obtained an ancestral blessing. Imperial Preceptor, legendary tier war enhancement. State Preceptor, legendary tier war enhancement in the next 24 hours. The class level of the 10 physician-related professionals under your command will temporarily increase to legendary tier elementary grade. After 24 hours, the class level of physician-related professionals will return to normal. Zhou's eyes widened. Fuck. Wasn't this legendary tier war enhancement too awesome and exciting? He directly gave them to 10 legendary tier elementary grade doctors. This could be considered a cheat-like existence on the battlefield at his level. Even though it only lasted for 24 hours, these 24 hours of legendary tier professionals' experience would definitely benefit those 10 people greatly. They would definitely be able to improve rapidly on their professional path in the future. These 10 legendary tier mist cores had not been spent in vain. The level of Sun Simiao's ancestor statue had not increased in vain. Zhou felt very happy. A moment later, in a vast empty space outside Blazing Sun City, nearly 9 million soldiers were gathered here. Among these soldiers, there were humans, all kinds of fog monsters, and even many dragons that covered the sky. The Spiritual Medicine Lord, the Fertile Land Lord, the Gold Merchant Lord, the Paper Immortal Lord, and the other lords of the Star Alliance were all excited when they saw such a huge army. What can we not attain with so many soldiers? That's a little exaggerated, but I do feel at ease with so many soldiers around, haha. I've never felt so safe. Fight, fight, fight. With so many soldiers, it's a waste of talent not to fight. Haha, what's the hurry? Didn't the Lord ask us to come because he said that there's a big battle waiting for us? I've never been so eager to go to the battlefield. The lords discussed animatedly, and ambition burned in their eyes. It was hard to imagine. 3 days ago, they were just a group of lords who could not even protect themselves. At this moment, a figure flew over from afar and finally floated in the sky above the nearly 9 million troops. It was none other than Zhou. Alliance Master. Alliance Master. Alliance Master. Alliance Master. No one knew who started it. Soon more than 9 million soldiers under the Lord of the Star Alliance roared. The voice was really earth-shattering. Even Zhou, who had just arrived, could not help but be stunned. Then a smile appeared on his face. He pressed his hands in the air and activated his hero skills, Desired Military Morale, and Ghost God Military Morale at the same time. The shouts of all the soldiers subsided in less than 2 seconds. This scene stunned by Yun Wu Xian, Feng Luo, the other generals of Blazing Sun City, and the lords of the Star Alliance. Chapter 505 The Mechanical Father, Zhou's Avatar. This Bai Yun, Wuxia, Luo Sheng, and the other Blazing Sun City generals looked at Zhou Zhou floating in the sky in a daze. My lord has already surpassed us in terms of the control of military morale. Wuxia smiled and said after some time. Bai Yun and Luo Sheng, the two generals who had also mastered hero skills, nodded in agreement. The former had mastered the hero skill, desired military morale, through learning under Wu Xin's guidance. The latter was because he had inherited the Ghost God General Hero Inheritance, and automatically mastered the hero skill, Ghost God Military Morale. Even though they and Wuxia could do similar things, they could only crowd control 1 million troops at most. They would never be able to control the morale of nearly 9 million troops, like Zhou Zhou with a single order. Thinking about how their lord had mastered the greedy wolf howling moon array, and its strongest military formation skill, the moonfall, in one night not long ago, they immediately felt that their lord probably had extraordinary talent in controlling the army. Thinking of this, they smiled even more brightly. It was naturally a good thing for generals like them, that their lord had such talent. At the same time, in the sky, Zhou Zhou could not help but look satisfied when he saw the soldiers below immediately quiet down in less than 2 seconds. The effect of the two military hero skills was indeed extraordinary. It's a pity that the greedy wolf howling moon array has an upper limit. Otherwise, if I can get these 9 million soldiers and generals to set up the array and transform into greedy wolf avatars, I'm afraid that there would be no battle even if a god spirit descends, right? Zhou Zhou thought to himself. As for the talent Thunder Immunity, he had naturally used it. He had also handed the White Silver Tier Elementary Grade Mechanostrider Alchemy Technology Blueprint to Zheng Yuanqi, and asked him to hand it to the alchemy technician of the Gnome Alchemy Workshop to use. And now, his soldiers' flying tools were already mainly the Starry Knight and Black Ghost. However, this did not mean that the previous Mechanostrider was useless. With such convenient civilian tools, it would definitely be more convenient for the subjects of the Blazing Sun territory to travel and do business in the future. Zhou Zhou also planned to turn a portion of the Black Ghost and Starry Knight into civilian transportation after they became popular on a large scale in the future. When the time comes, realizing air transportation of the cerulean planet on the high continent would no longer be a dream. He stopped thinking about it, and his gaze landed on the nearly 9 million soldiers below again. Today our target is the Crimson Kingdom, near the Blazing Sun territory. Our goal is simple: destroy and replace them to build a kingdom that belongs to us. Are you fearful? He looked at the 9 million soldiers below and shouted loudly. Under the spread of the chaotic origin energy in his body, his voice resounded in the ears of every soldier. No fear! No fear! No fear! The 9 million soldiers roared in unison. Everyone had a surging fighting spirit. Even the lords of the Star Alliance were stimulated by the roars of the 9 million soldiers. It was as if they could defeat any enemy in front of them. Okay, follow me to the spaceships. Zhou Zhou did not waste his breath, and was the first to fly into the starry night in the sky. After a night of researching the technological blueprints dropped by Lord Father, and the expansion of the spaceship factory, Wenya's efficiency in making spaceships had clearly increased greatly. 2 Starry Knights and 3 Black Ghosts were made within the night. He now had a total of 13 Star Knights and 4 Black Ghosts under his command. With so many spaceships around, it was not a problem to accommodate 17 million soldiers, let alone 9 million soldiers. Of course, it would not work if it exceeded 17 million. Soon, these approximately 9 million soldiers, a large number of doctors, clergymen, and other war logistics personnel boarded the spaceship and flew towards the Taiyan Kingdom. In front of the city gate of Blazing Sun City, Leah, who had already walked out of the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise, looked at the departing spaceship column in a daze. She could not help but recall the conversation between Zhou Zhou and her. Zhou Zhou, why don't you look for my father? Wouldn't you be more confident in crusading against the Taiyan Kingdom after accepting my father's Aurora Kingdom? Haha, it's better to build my kingdom with my own hands. As for father-in-law's Aurora Kingdom, it won't be too late to take it over after I conquer the Taiyan Kingdom and establish my own kingdom. Father, Neither of us would have thought that the lords of all races, whom we only wanted to invest in back, then would grow to the extent that he is confident of conquering the Taiyan kingdom easily, right? Leah muttered in her heart. The smile on her face became even brighter. In the spaceship, Zhou sat on the main seat in the captain's cabin and looked at the map in his hand. This map was the map of the Taiyan kingdom. There were a total of 54 regional territories in the entire Taiyan kingdom. Previously, he had already conquered Dark Knight Town, Red Wasp Town, Kingdom Beginning City, and other 6 regional territories. There were still 48 regional territories left. Among them, there was 1 extraordinary tier regional territory, 3 diamond tier regional territories, 10 white platinum tier regional territories, 20 yellow gold tier regional territories, and 14 green bronze tier regional territories. As long as I can take all these regional territories. Not only is there hope of upgrading the territory, the 30 regional territories needed to build a kingdom can also be easily completed. Zhou had a faint smile on his face. Previously, in order to increase the level of the Blazing Sun Territory's regional territories, he had fused most of the regional territories he had conquered. And now, there were only 2 or 3 regional territories under his command that had yet to be fused. Fortunately, as long as he conquered the regional territories on the Taiyan Kingdom side, he could also satisfy the number of regional territories needed to build a kingdom. Wuxia, let's go to this white platinum tier regional territory, Blood Channel City, first to take a look. Zhou said. Yes, my lord. Wuxia's voice sounded before falling silent. Zhou gave it a thought, and a 7-colored light flew out of his glabella and turned into a silver-robed Zhou after landing on the ground. It was the ultimate lord, Zhou. The current ultimate lord, Zhou, was very different from yesterday. This was because his body was currently emitting an astonishing hero pressure. Zhou felt the pressure on the other party and smiled. He looked at him, and a text notification appeared. Clone name, Ultimate Lord, Zhou Machina Race Clone. Hero title, Mechanical Father. Position, Mid-level God Tier Advanced Grade Hero Fate Level. Territory, Blazing Sun City Machina Race. Skill level, Black Iron Tier Elementary Grade. Ability Overview. The Machina Race clone of the Lord of the Blazing Sun has mastered a special talent, Ultimate Algorithm. Skills, Talent Ultimate Algorithm, Talent Unlimited Mechanical Body. Hero Skill, Super Calculation, Hero Skill, True Simulation, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade Mechanical Technological Skill, Grand Unified Core Energy, Extraordinary Tier Elementary Grade Mechanical Technological Skill. Apocalypse Satellite 4, Incomplete Research. Diamond Tier Elementary Grade Mechanical Technological Skill. Soul Residence, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade Mechanical Technological Skill. Shield of Light, Yellow Gold Tier Elementary Grade. Invisible Ghost, Mechanical Technological Skill. Giant Axe Ripper Series, Green Bronze Tier Elementary Grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Mechanical Technological Skill. Suicide Bomb Beetle Series, Green Bronze Tier Elementary Grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Mechanical Technological Skill. Cannon Man Series, Green Bronze Tier Elementary Grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Mechanical Technological Skill Shadow. Eagle Series, Green Bronze Tier Elementary Grade, White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Potential, Master God Tier Advanced Grade. Hero Biography, 1. Under the blessing of the human lord the Blazing Sun, he obtained the hero inheritance and became the first-generation mechanical father. Hero's personal reputation rating +2, human race reputation +50,000, Machina race reputation +200,000, high continent reputation +5. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Chapter 506 Conquer. Conquer. Impressive. Not only did he use that hero inheritance secret manual, but he also mastered all of Lord Father's mechanical technological skills in just one night. Zhou praised. I have the ultimate algorithm and control all the computing power of 32,104 Machina race soldiers. I'm very intelligent to begin with. It's not difficult for me to master them in one night. What I need the most now is to increase my strength level. The ultimate lord, Zhou said. With the ultimate algorithm, he could be said to be an absolute technology genius. With the computing power he controlled, he could basically master technology theories below the extraordinary tier at a glance. If his strength could increase, he could control more computing power and increase his strength faster and better to create more technological inventions. Increase your strength level? Then have you done your grand unified core energy? Zhou asked. The ultimate lord, Zhou looked up and said, Wuxia? Is it done? It's done. A total of 50,000 grand unified core energy crystals. They are all in the warehouse now. Wuxia trailed off. Install them for the Machina race soldiers immediately. The ultimate lord, Zhou said. Wuxia did not speak immediately. Do as he says. In the future, his orders are equivalent to mine. Wuxia, you can obey them. The main body, Zhou said. The ultimate lord, Zhou was his talent avatar. Their minds were connected, so Zhou naturally did not have to worry that the ultimate lord would harm him. Yes, my lord. Wuxia, how's the Machina race blueprints I gave you? Zhou asked again. I've already begun to build the corresponding technology manufacturing factories in the territory. From the looks of it, we can start producing various mechanical technological skill products tomorrow. Wuxia trailed off. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. If he could digest Lord Father's series of technological products, the strength and development potential of his territory would definitely increase greatly again. More than a minute later, the 17 spaceships flew into the territory of the Taiyan Kingdom. Taiyan Kingdom, Zhou, by Yen Wuxian, Feng Luo, Luo Sheng, Suan, and the other Blazing Sun Territory generals, as well as the 312 lords of the Star Alliance. We're looking at the virtual screen in the middle of the conference room, through a virtual video conference. On the virtual screen, a quiet city surrounded by blood-colored city walls stood here. It was the White Platinum Tier Regional Territory Blood Channel City. It looked lifeless, he could not even see many fog monsters at a glance. Wu 2, how many fog monsters are there in Blood Channel City? Zhou asked. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu 2, who was sitting on his right, and wearing silver bow general light armor, quickly stood up. Reporting to my lord, according to the information of the Heavenly Army, at this moment, there are only about 200,000 fog monsters left in Blood Channel City. There are only about 10,000 fog monster soldiers amongst them. The rest are civilian fog monsters that have almost no combat strength. Wu Tu said with a dark expression. Everyone nodded thoughtfully. It's just as the information said. Most of the soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom have gone to support that country's war that concerns the fate of the country. Otherwise, there would definitely not be only so many fog monster soldiers in such a huge White Platinum Tier Scarlet City. Bai Yin said, the Scarlet King of the Taiyan Kingdom has already given up on these cities. It wants to defeat the Titan Kingdom first. As for these cities, it's of no concern to them for now. A monster general of the monster army said with a smile. Everyone agreed. If that's the case, we don't have to be polite. Conquer these uninvolved cities as quickly as possible. Zhou said in a low voice. It'll bring 200,000 soldiers. This amount of enemy. My greedy wolf avatar can slaughter this city in a few rounds. The ghost god general, Luo Sheng said. Go on. Use the Machina race's soldiers among your 200,000 soldiers. Also, the lords of the Star Alliance will send one person to follow the army to instigate incite defection and weaken the enemy, according to the level of war contributions they have accumulated previously. Zhou said. Even though his incite defection had been refreshed today, he would naturally not use them on these small fries. He would leave them to his alliance lords. Yes, my lord. Luo Sheng stood up and accepted the order. Then he carried his gun and left. After a while, a divine wolf with starlight on its body landed in Blood Channel City and began to wreak havoc on the fog monsters. At the same time, a lord member of the Star Alliance, who was chosen successfully incite defection during this process, and brought back nearly 20,000 fog monster subjects. My lord, when are we going to fight? When the lords of the Star Alliance saw this, they could not help but ask. The weapons of more than 9 million soldiers under their command were already unbearably hungry. Don't be anxious. It's just a small fight now. You don't have to do anything. There will be a chance for you to attack. Zhou said. When the lords heard this, they quietened down, looking forward to it. 5 minutes later, the Blood Channel city had already turned into a sea of blood. There were no longer any living fog monsters. Zhou nodded slightly. At this rate, he might really be able to conquer all the regional territories of the Taiyan Kingdom in one day. He looked at the ultimate lord, Zhou, who was sitting beside him. His attribute information appeared in front of him. Then his eyes lit up. This was because he realized that the ultimate lord, Zhou's strength realm, had already increased to the green bronze tier intermediate grade. Not bad, not bad. At this rate, perhaps today, the ultimate lord, Zhou's strength would increase to yellow gold tier. This was much faster than the time he needed to advance back then. The Grand Unified Core Energy was indeed a top-grade technology that could quickly increase one's strength. Unfortunately, it could only be used on the Machina race and not life forms. Otherwise, it would be perfect. 10 minutes later, Zhou and the others flew to the next regional territory of the Taiyan Kingdom, with all the loots from Blood Channel City. In the next 4 hours, Zhou and the others continued to fight and quickly conquered the remaining regional territories of the Taiyan Kingdom to the extent that there was only one extraordinary tier regional territory and 2 diamond tier regional territories left. The place where the 3 regional territories joined together was the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. It was also the current battlefield between the monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom and the Titan Kingdom. Wuxia, let's go. Head to the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, Zhou said in a low voice. Yes, my lord, Wuxia said respectfully. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. 17 spaceships quickly flew towards the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. Chapter 507 Attacking the Taiyan Kingdom. Taiyan Kingdom, Diamond Tier Regional Territory, Left Guardian City. This was a Scarlet City that guarded the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. In the past, millions of civilian fog monsters lived here. Hundreds of thousands of extraordinary tier fog soldiers were stationed there. However, at this moment, this place had already become a pile of ruins. More than 2 million fog monsters were fighting. Their roars shook the sky, and the battle was tragic. It was not an exaggeration to call it a river of blood. Everyone from the Blazing Sun territory, who was hidden in the 17 spaceships, saw the scene clearly. This is the main battlefield where the armies of the 2 kingdoms are fighting. Such a fierce fight, but it's only so. There are only more than 2 million monster soldiers. How can they compare to our nearly 9 million soldiers? Yes, if we go down and fight now, we will definitely win. Is that the Titan race of the Titan Kingdom? Their bodies are indeed terrifying, just like monsters. The Lord members discussed spiritedly. Even though they were a little shocked by the Titan's physical talent, they still had absolute confidence in themselves. Zhou also looked at the Titan clan fighting crazily on the battlefield. This was the first time he had seen the Titan race. There were about 1.3 million Titans, and each Titan was generally more than 20 meters tall. There were also Titans that were 30 to 40 meters tall, but there were not many of them. They were completely grayish-white, and were wearing ancient and rough huge armor. The weapons in their hands were also crude and easy-to-use strength-type weapons like stone axes, iron staffs, bronze maces. The way they fought the fog monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom was extremely easy. They charged into their soldiers and used their advantage in size, thick skin, and strength to brandish their weapons to wreak havoc among their soldiers. The method was simple and crude, but it was surprisingly useful, and he killed them quickly. However, the fog monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom was not to be trifled with. Even though most of them were inferior to the Titans in terms of physical strength, their combat strength was also very high, and they had endless methods. He could not defeat them in close combat. At most, he would use long-range skills to fight. Alliance Master, can I record it? Some Lord members could not help but ask. He really wanted to record such a big scene. Yes, but don't spread it to outsiders. Just within our alliance. Zhou thought for a moment and agreed. This was the first time he had launched a frontal attack on a kingdom, and it was also his experience establishing the #1 kingdom of the human race on the cerulean planet. It had memorable value. Okay, I promise it will not spread to outside people. The Lord who made this promise immediately became excited and activated the recording function of the World Channel. The other lords followed suit and hurriedly began to record. This was also an extremely memorable experience for them. Zhou expression was a little strange when he saw this. This scene looked like an internet celebrity filming a video. Wuxia, did you notice where the Netherbark Kingdom's army is? Zhou observed the situation below for a while and asked. Not at the moment. When you trailed off. Zhou frowned. The Starry Night had Diamond-tier advanced grade life detection and anti-reconnaissance radar. Even this reconnaissance device could not detect the location of the other party's army. Either the other party's method of obscurity was higher than his own reconnaissance method, or they were not here. Lu Rui's information should be right. In addition, under his talent danger prediction, he vaguely sensed that there seemed to be some faint sense of danger hidden in his surroundings. Therefore, he was naturally biased towards the former. As expected, no kingdom-level faction is simple, he thought to himself. Then he looked at the anxious situation below and finally made a decision. He would not continue waiting. Time was limited. He did not want to wait for the Netherbark army of the Netherbark Kingdom to attack before attacking. Moreover, he had 9 million troops, and the soldiers were all extremely strong. What was there to be afraid of with such combat strength? If anyone dared to be a fisherman after him, he would directly be wiped out at once. He immediately made up his mind. Lead the entire army to attack with Bai Yin as the overall commander and Wu Xian and Luo Sheng as the deputy commanders. Destroy all the fog monsters in front of us, Zhou ordered decisively. Yes. Furious roars sounded behind him. Then, the two sides fighting on the ground saw 17 spaceships suddenly appear out of thin air in the sky. Right on the heels of that, the 17 spaceships emitted pillars of light. Countless human soldiers, fog monster soldiers, and dragons flew out of the pillar of light. Then, some landed on the ground and rushed towards them, while others attacked them from the air. Under their terrified gazes, these enemies that suddenly appeared seemed to be endless. They came out of the spaceship in an endless stream and attacked them with ferocious killing intent. What's going on? Where did these enemies come from? Could it be the people from the Aurora Kingdom? Shouldn't they be repairing their dilapidated kingdom at this time? The monster army of the Taiyan Kingdom and the Titan Kingdom were stunned. However, there was no time to think. This was because the soldiers of the Blazing Sun Territory and the Star Alliance had already rushed in front of them. As soon as the two sides came into contact, they began to fight fiercely. The first to reach the 2 million monster soldiers was the Dragon God army led by Nazario. Firstly, Horus led 39 extreme dragon race soldiers and smashed into the dense area of more than 2 million monster soldiers. Accompanied by the sound of the ground trembling, there were more than 10,000 fog monsters smashed to death by the extreme dragon race alone. Then Horus and the other 40 extreme dragon race members began to wreak havoc among the 2 million fog monsters. As pure-blooded dragons with the strongest physical bodies, the extreme dragon race's dragon body was their strongest arms. This was because they did not need to use any skills. They only needed to flap their dragon wings and wave their dragon claws to injure and kill the hundreds or thousands of fog monsters around them. When the surrounding fog monsters saw this scene, they rushed up to kill these extreme dragons. Then they realized that most of their attacks could not even break through. They could only watch helplessly as these extreme dragon race wreaked havoc among their companions. Only Diamond tier and above fog monster experts could barely fight it, but they would not be able to gain much advantage. Other than the extreme dragon race, immediately after were the 5-colored dragons, the earth dragons, the bronze dragons, the elf dragons, and the emerald dragons. They were all subdued by Zhou. At this moment, they were also using their full strength, wanting to perform well in front of the new Lord and His Excellency the Light Sacred Dragon. Chapter 508 End of the War. Behind them were the Dragon King of Volcano and Destruction, Nazario, spectral dragon Auguste, and the light sacred dragon, Ingersoll, who were casting spells in the air. Nazario used fire elemental draconic magic, Auguste used soul draconic magic, and Ingersoll released extreme light draconic magic. The strength of the three dragons was already above the white platinum tier, and unleashed powerful draconic magics. Especially Nazario and Ingersoll. Each of their draconic spells could kill thousands of these fog monsters. At the same time, Bai Yin, Wuxia, Luosheng, and the Ultimate Lord, Zhou, also organized 800,000 soldiers and 4 greedy wolf avatars to fight and kill among the monster soldiers of the Crimson Kingdom. The 10-directional martial emperor, Feng Luo, Soul Arrow, Wu Tu, Night Rakshasa Sword God, Suan, and the newly joined Butcher, Guoqiao were also slaughtering the fog monsters with all their might. In addition, Soul Reaper Maris and the god of thunder and dark clouds, Ansel, were not to be outdone. One silently harvested fog monsters in its soul state. The other directly turned into a lightning body and waved his hand to summon thousands of lightning to kill a large number of fog monsters. The generals were so powerful. The soldiers of the Blazing Sun territory also performed extremely well. Under the blessing of the war god, their average strength far exceeded these fog monsters. They could have fought 3 or even 4 people on the battlefield, but because of the advantage in numbers, they often fought 3 or 4 against 1. This way, the fog monsters of the 2 Scarlet Kingdoms were even more helpless. Coupled with the addition of the 5.9 million soldiers of the Star Alliance. As soon as the battle between the 2 sides began, the Blazing Sun territory and the Star Alliance had an absolute advantage and began to eliminate these fog monsters at an astonishing speed. What's going on? In the monster army, a tall monster more than 10 meters tall, covered in bruises, had 4 arms, and held 4 weapons widened its eyes in anger when it saw the situation on the battlefield. He was the only extraordinary tier Scarlet hero left in the Taiyan Kingdom, 4-armed Mara King, Taro. He had never expected this. They had just gained some confidence and felt that they could rely on the territory advantage of the Taiyan Kingdom to drag down these Titan legions from the Titan Kingdom. In the blink of an eye, there was a second unknown powerful human faction that interfered. On the other side, the Legion commander of the Titan army was also one of the 5 heroes of the Titan Kingdom, the Ironfang King Siphon. When he saw that this unknown human faction actually wanted to snatch their results, he was immediately furious. In addition, after knowing that the other party had many troops, and that they probably had no possibility of retreating, the hostility in its heart intensified. Kill and eat all these bastards in front of us, Siphon roared. At the same time, in the sky, when Zhou, who was floating in midair, saw this scene, he did not dare to waste any time. He immediately raised his hand and used insight defection. At this moment, a line of golden text suddenly appeared. Please choose the enemy lord faction you want to insight defection. 1. Taiyan Kingdom. 2. Titan Kingdom. Zhou could not help but be stunned when he saw the sudden text notification. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Then he thought for a moment and said, Titan Kingdom. There were more than 1.3 million Titan soldiers in the Titan Kingdom, while the Taiyan Kingdom only had more than 1 million monster soldiers. Of course, he had to choose the side with more insight defection soldiers. He had just confirmed his choice. Boom! An invisible fluctuation covered all the Titans on the ground in the blink of an eye. The expressions in the eyes of more than 150,000 Titans suddenly changed. They did not immediately attack their companions beside them. Instead, under Zhou's secret instructions, they continued to attack the monster soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom like before. In the sky, Zhou looked at the insight defection notification in front of him. Lord Talent notification. A total of 63,420 black iron tier Titan soldiers. 41,852 green bronze tier Titan soldiers. 21,542 white silver tier Titan soldiers. 18,850 yellow gold tier Titan soldiers. 7,760 white platinum tier Titan soldiers. 5,050 diamond tier Titan soldiers. And 101 extraordinary tier Titan soldiers, have betrayed their lord's faction and become your loyal subordinates. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. This wave of insight defection directly obtained the loyalty of 158,575 Titan soldiers. It had to be known that these Titans had astonishing physical talent to begin with, and their combat strength was even stronger than special soldier types of the same level. Even though there were relatively few insight defections, Zhou did not feel that he had suffered a loss. Then, Zhou called Linger over and asked her to incite defection on the monster soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom. Soon, Linger had also used incite defection on more than 80,000 monster soldiers from the Taiyan Kingdom. Seeing this, Zhou asked Linger to immediately order the 80,000-odd monster soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom to start a civil war among them. This action immediately caused the million-odd monster soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom to riot for a while. However, they were elite soldiers of the Taiyan Kingdom after all. They calmed down in no time, and were also guarding against the sneak attacks of their companions. But even so, while resisting the attacks of the Titan soldiers and the Blazing Sun Territory soldiers, he was also guarding against the sneak attacks of his companions. In the sky, Zhou could not help but smile when he saw the battle situation below. However, he still remained cautious. This was because he knew that there was an enemy faction of the Netherbark Kingdom hidden around him with the notification of his talent, Danger Prediction. But at this moment, Zhou suddenly raised his eyebrows and observed his surroundings without leaving a trace. In the end, he naturally did not discover anything. The sense of danger given to me by my talent, Danger Prediction, has disappeared. Could it be that the Netherbark Kingdom has left? Zhou thought to himself. Zhou was not surprised if that was the case. After all, as long as it was a beginner kingdom faction with some common sense, they probably would not have any thoughts of attacking after seeing his nearly 9 million soldiers. Wasn't that purely courting death? Of course, he could not rule out the possibility that the Netherbark Kingdom had some method that could hide from his Danger Prediction. However, Zhou felt that the possibility of such a guess was extremely small. Talent. Danger Prediction was the talent of Xiaoxian, a true god-tier talent. How could he be easily hidden by a kingdom-level lord faction? So in this situation, there was a high chance that the Netherbark Kingdom knew that they could not match his 9 million soldiers, so they automatically retreated. Thinking of this, Zhou did not let his guard down. Instead, he continued to be cautious. At the same time, he glanced at the text notification that had just flashed past. An official battle has been discovered. Battle mode has been activated. Virtual battlefield has been established. Battle points are being calculated. Prompt. After the battle ends, the army's battle point function will be calculated and obtained a corresponding number of battle points according to the battle performance of the Blazing Sun Army, the Monster Army, and the Dragon God Army. When there are enough battle points, you can increase the level of the army and unlock more army functions. Zhou's gaze landed on the battlefield below again. It seemed that these two monster armies of the Crimson Kingdom had triggered the army battle mode. Just as well, it could also increase the level of the 3 armies under his command. 2 hours later, the battlefield gradually returned to silence as the soldiers of Taiyan Kingdom and Titan Kingdom were all dead. Chapter 509 Yellow Gold Tier Blazing Sun Army. Yellow Gold Tier Braveness. Zhou gazed calmly at the battlefield that had stabilized below. He was not surprised that the battle could end so easily. What to do? His strength far exceeded that of the Taiyan Kingdom and the Titan Kingdom. In addition, these two kingdoms did not have the combat strength at their peak, and he had mobilized all his forces. It would be strange if these two kingdoms could withstand him. Then, his gaze landed on the text notification that had just appeared. This battle has been recorded. Battle settlement completed. Your monster army, Black Iron Tier Army, has obtained 4,000 battle points. The monster army has been upgraded to the White Silver Tier Army. Black Iron Tier Army Enhancement. Braveness has been upgraded to White Silver Tier Army Enhancement. Braveness. This battle has been recorded. Battle settlement completed. Your Dragon God Army, Black Iron Tier Army, has obtained 4,000 battle points. The Dragon God Army has been upgraded to the White Silver Tier Army. Black Iron Tier Army Enhancement. Braveness has been upgraded to White Silver Tier Army Enhancement, Braveness. This battle has been recorded. Battle settlement completed. Your Blazing Sun Army Green Bronze Tier Army has obtained 4,000 battle points. The Blazing Sun Army has been upgraded to a Yellow Gold Tier Army. Green Bronze Tier Army Enhancement. Braveness has been upgraded to Yellow Gold Tier Army Enhancement, Braveness. Zhou could not help but smile when he saw the 3 notifications. The Green Bronze Tier Blazing Sun Army was upgraded to the Yellow Gold Tier Blazing Sun Army. The Monster Army and the Dragon God Army, which had just established an official army, had directly jumped from the Black Iron Tier Army to the White Silver Tier Army. As expected, army battle points could only be obtained by fighting an official army. Previously, he had fought with tens of thousands of lords on the battlefield of the end, but could not obtain even 1 battle point. However, he had obtained 4,000 points in this single battle. Zhou was instantly satisfied. He opened the army interface and looked at the current information about the army and the army buff Braveness. Blazing Sun Army, Yellow Gold Tier Kingdom Army. Current maximum number of soldiers accommodated. 1,455, 641/5 million. Current battle point. 1,200/4,000. Prompt. You can obtain the corresponding battle points by completing the battle. When there are enough battle points, you can increase the level of the army and unlock more army functions. Army Enhancement, Braveness, Buff Level, Yellow Gold Tier, Buff Effect. Your legionaries will be even braver when fighting on the battlefield. At the same time, your overall strength will receive a 40% enhancement. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. His overall strength had obtained a 40% enhancement. This was already a relatively high strength enhancement. Then, he looked at the enhancement of the White Silver Tier Army, Braveness, and realized that it was a 30% increase in overall strength. Not bad. Zhou nodded slightly. At this moment, Bai Yin walked over and waved her right hand. The corpses of the 4-armed Mara King, Taro, and Ironfang King Siphon appeared in front of him. My lord, did the enemy of the Netherbark Kingdom not appear? She asked curiously. He probably escaped. Of course, there's also the possibility of spying on them and waiting for an opportunity, but the possibility is not high. Zhou said. Bai nodded. Clean up the battlefield and take what you need. In addition, put the corpses of these enemies into the spaceship for the time being, and retrieve the loots as you move. Then we'll go straight to the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. Zhou said. Yes, my lord. At this moment Wu Tu, the Soul Arrow, suddenly walked over quickly. I've something to report, my lord. I just received news from my people. It's said that a mysterious army has suddenly descended on the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, and is attacking it. Even though the king of the Taiyan Kingdom can barely hold on with the protective barrier of the capital, I'm afraid he won't be able to last long. Wu Tu said quickly. How outrageous. Anger flashed across Bai Yun's eyes. They were fighting with their lives on the line here. But that mysterious army actually wanted to pass them and take advantage of them? A cold glint and killing intent flashed across Zhou's eyes. There was no need to guess. This mysterious army was most likely the Netherbark army of the Netherbark Kingdom. Otherwise, the other kingdoms would not have reacted so quickly. I thought you ran away because you were afraid of me. I didn't expect it was because you are looking to plunder the fruits of my war? Zhou narrowed his eyes slightly. Leave 100,000 soldiers, a starry night, and 90% of the Conqueror's blast furnace here to continue extracting loots. The remaining soldiers board the spaceship immediately and head to the capital of the Aurora Kingdom. Originally, Zhou wanted to take some time to go to another Diamond Tier regional territory, Right Guardian City, to see if there were any leftover monster enemies that had not been attacked. From the looks of it, he could only go to the capital first. Yes, my lord, Bai Yin immediately ordered. Soon, other than the soldiers who stayed where they were and continued to retrieve the loots, the remaining soldiers boarded the spaceship and flew towards the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. In the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, A total of 2 million kobolds in black armor were gathered outside the capital and attacking the dark blue light barrier that enveloped the capital. One could vaguely see a dark blue illusory Eastern divine dragon swimming around on that light barrier, constantly neutralizing the attacks of the 2 million troops. However, because the enemy's attacks were too fierce and dense, the figure of the dark blue illusory Eastern divine dragon was continuously dissipating and condensing again. During the process of continuous dissipation and condensation, its divine dragon figure gradually became transparent. Obviously, this light barrier would not last long. Behind the Netherbark army, a temporary military base was erected, a kobold that was more than 20 meters tall, carrying 2 dark black sabers on his back, wearing dark black divine armor, and the clothes of a cardinal of the God of Death Church, was looking at the battle in front of him with a deep gaze. It was the Legion commander of the Netherbark army, and one of the 4 heroes of the Netherbark kingdom, the Death Spirit Servant, Sakomo. How long can this vast sea divine dragon barrier protect their capital? It said in a deep voice, reporting to Cardinal Sakomo. According to my observations, this barrier would be destroyed by us in another half an hour. A kobold wearing the clothes of the God of Death priest said fawningly. There was a hint of pride and excitement in its voice. In its eyes, the breakthrough of the capital of the Taiyan kingdom was already a done deal. The powerful human lord, who was still fighting in Left Guardian City, was just easy meat for them. When they broke through this Taiyan kingdom and obtained the kingdom token, they would return to the Netherbark kingdom. When that happens, what would it matter how powerful the human lord was when they have the protection of His Excellency the God of Death? Half an hour. It's taking too long. Unexpectedly, Sakomo's expression was quite serious after hearing the priest's words. My lord is warning me. The danger is approaching at an astonishing speed. We have to break through the capital of the Taiyan kingdom in 10 minutes, kill the king of the Taiyan kingdom, and obtain the kingdom token, Sakomo said solemnly. Chapter 510 Death Spiritual Servant, Sakomo. God of Death descends. The priest's eyes widened. They are approaching so quickly? How is that possible? Could it be that the powerful human lord faction had already dealt with their enemies? However, there were a total of more than 3 million soldiers left in the Taiyan kingdom and the Titan kingdom. There were so many soldiers. Even if they all surrendered and killed them one by one, they would have to kill them for a day and night, right? How could it be resolved so quickly and come to look for us immediately without resting? Still, as a death spirit servant with extremely pure faith, Lord Sakomo's inspiration could reach a strange resonance with the God of Death's divine power. Therefore, Lord Sakomo's premonition would not be wrong under normal circumstances. The priest's face became serious. I'll hurry them up now. We must break through the capital of the Taiyan kingdom in the shortest time possible. With that, it immediately turned around and left. However, a kobold soldier rushed in a panic before it managed to get very far. Seeing this scene, Lord Sakomo and the priest both had a bad feeling. What the kobold soldier said next confirmed their thoughts. My lord, that human lord flew over on the Machina race's mechanical spaceship, it said in a panic. Lord Sakomo and the priest did not speak for a moment. They came so quickly. Prepare to retreat. Lord Sakomo said after taking time to consider the matter for some time. Are we going to pull back just like that? This isn't our country. Why should we fight that human lord head-on? Sakomo glanced at it. If it was in the Netherbark kingdom, it would have the guts to fight the human lord, even if he had tens of millions of soldiers under the protection of the God of Death. However, in a faithless place like the capital of the Taiyan kingdom, it would not do such a stupid thing as fighting the enemy head-on. Yes, Lord Cardinal. The priest was still a little unwilling. Sakomo could understand the other party's feelings. Who could be willing? Their Netherbark kingdom was only lacking this kingdom token to advance to an intermediate kingdom. Unfortunately, the heavens did not grant them their wishes. They did not stay any longer and walked out of the temporary military base. Then, they saw the 16 majestic spaceships in the sky carrying the 9 million soldiers. In the sky, Zhou floated quietly in the sky, He looked at the 2 million soldiers of the Netherbark Legion below. When they arrived, they were naturally not stupid. They had already stopped attacking the capital's barrier, and looked at them warily. Just as Zhou was about to attack them, he saw Sakomo walk out of the military base. They looked at each other. A text notification appeared in front of Zhou. Name: Sakomo. Hero title: Death Spirit Servant. Position: Epic Tier Heroes. Fate level: Territory: Taiyan Kingdom. Strength level: Epic Tier Elementary Grade. Introduction: one of the 4 heroes of the Netherbark Kingdom. It is one of the 4 guardians of the God of Death Church in the country. It is good at using a black star double-slash blade, and can control the power of the Death Elemental and the Decay Elemental to attach to its 2 sabers and body, allowing its combat strength to increase by a level. Its combat style is steady and experienced, and its faith in the God of Death is extremely pure. Loot's drop rate: 20 Epic Tier Mist Cores. Drop rate: 100%. 1000 Origin Crystals. Drop rate: 100%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Enhanceable Hero Skill, God of Death Possession. Drop rate: 8%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Enhanceable Hero Skill, Death Cross / Drop rate: 8%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Equipment, Black Star double / Drop rate: 12%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Black Star Armor. Drop rate: 10%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Skill Book Deathmatch Combat Technique. Drop rate: 8%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Death Double. Drop rate: 8%. 1 Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystal. Drop rate: 3%. 1 Epic Tier Elementary Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual. Drop rate: 0.001%. 5 Black Iron Tier Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. Drop rate: 0%. Zhou's eyes lit up. This guy's loot list actually had Fanatic Tier Scarlet Crystals? Then wouldn't he be able to obtain another Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystal after killing it? The Netherbark Kingdom is a religious kingdom that believes in the God of Death. Perhaps there will be many kobolds with pure faith in this kingdom. Maybe I can obtain many Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals from them. Zhou took a guess. In addition, its Epic Tier Elementary Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual would also become a Legendary Tier Elementary Grade Hero Inheritance Secret Manual after extracting it. This was also a considerable temptation to him. Zhou immediately felt that he had to take it down. At this moment Sakomo, who had been looking at him, spoke. "Human Lord, what are you playing at?" It said telepathically. "What are you pretending for? Anyone who's not a fool can tell what you want to do." Zhou could not be bothered to be hypocritical with him, and fell out with him. "You should want to capture this place, right? We won't stop you. Actually, our Netherbark Kingdom has no intention of becoming enemies with you. We're only here this time because we have many years of enmity with the Taiyan Kingdom. Since you want to attack it too, I'll leave it to you. We're leaving." With that, it waved its right hand and a huge black flying ship appeared. The most obvious thing on it was a black kobold statue of the God of Death, Thanatos, which was 1,000 meters tall. The 2 million soldiers of the Netherbark army immediately turned into a tide of soldiers that rushed towards the black flying ship. "You come and go as you please. What do you take us for?" Zhou said coldly. The 9 million soldiers under his command immediately charged at the 2 million kobold soldiers. When Sakomo saw this scene, it sighed softly. Then its expression became serious. "It's time for me to offer my faith to His Excellency." It flew in front of all the soldiers of the Netherbark Kingdom and sat cross-legged in the void. Right on the heels of that, it closed its eyes and began to pray in the kobold language. The prayer content was the content of the Death Holy Scripture. This was the Bible of the God of Death Church. It was a religious supreme classic that all the believers of the God of Death had to master. As its prayer slowly expanded, its body and face began to decrepify at a very fast speed. When its prayer had already expanded to be heard by the entire battlefield, its body had already become extremely decrepit, looking like an old kobold withered. Boom! An extremely terrifying pressure suddenly appeared on the battlefield. Then, a huge black figure 10,000 meters tall gradually appeared behind Sakomo. All the living beings on the battlefield seemed to have seen their lives end when they saw this black figure. Countless life forms suddenly came to a realization. The god of death had descended. Chapter 5:11 Fighting Sakomo 1. Under the terrifying god spirit pressure, even the 2 million Cobalt soldiers of the Netherbark army also trembled, even though they were under less pressure under Sakomo's intentional protection. Their speed back to the black flying ship could not help but slow down a lot. In front of Sakomo, the 9 million soldiers who were deliberately targeted suffered the pressure of all the gods of death. However, what Sakomo found unbelievable was that the 9 million soldiers in front of it did not seem to be affected by the pressure of the gods that ordinary races could not resist. They did not seem to feel much. This human lord is indeed not easy to deal with. Sakomo's expression was solemn. This human lord definitely had some special methods up his sleeve. On the 9 million soldiers' side, Zhou looked at the god of death, which was 10,000 meters tall, with a solemn expression. Then, he seemed to have seen through something, and his frown relaxed slightly. It's not the real god of death. It should only be a divine power projection. He heaved a sigh of relief. He had the secret inheritance of the dragon race in his mind, so he could easily see through this method. This should be the other party's hero skill, god of death descent. It's strong. However, it would be an exaggeration to say that it is super strong. He glanced at his soldiers. The soldiers and other professionals in his territory were all dragon slayer, and were naturally immune to high-level bloodline pressure. God spirits could essentially be seen as a high-level bloodline, and it was an extremely high-level bloodline. Therefore, the pressure of the god of death's divine power projection was also immune to his subjects. Towards this, Zhou was not worried that his subjects would be exposed as dragon slayers. There were many methods in the myriad worlds that were immune to the pressure of high-level bloodline god spirits after all. The unique thing about the dragon slaying will was that it was not immune to the pressure of a high-level bloodline, and could also increase its strength by up to 2 levels while being immune. Green bronze tier to yellow gold tier. This was the most abnormal thing about the dragon slaying will. As long as his soldiers did not reveal their ability to increase their strength greatly at the same time, it was almost impossible for others to guess their dragon slayer identity. At this moment, he saw Sakomo suddenly stand up from its cross-legged position. Right on the heels of that, it raised its hands, and a transparent cobalt soul emitting a faint white light flew out of its head and fused into the projection of the god of death behind it. After the god of death's projection fused with Sakomo's soul, its strength and pressure suddenly increased, reaching the strength of a legendary tier. At the same time, its form quickly transformed into Sakomo. It opened its blood-red eyes, drew 2 black sabers from its back, and charged towards Zhou's 9 million troops. Seeing this scene, there was no need for Zhou to order. Suan and Wuxia had already stood up immediately and flew towards Sakomo in the god of death descend state. During the process of flying over, Suan had already transformed into the 10,000-meter tall Knight Rakshasa. In his 3 heads and 6 arms state, he held 6 blood shadow swords and looked like a blood god from hell. At this moment, Wuxia was also wearing blood-red armor and holding 2 blood-red axes. His aura had already recovered to its peak. He had already completely healed his injuries on the way here, under the joint treatment of the 10 legendary tier elementary grade doctors. The current Wuxia had not only recovered from diamond tier elementary grade to epic tier elementary grade at his peak, his strength even broke through again with the help of Bloodbath Song, because he had absorbed the divine blood of the god he had killed and directly advanced to the epic tier advanced grade. Zhou was even more glad that he had obtained the legendary tier ancestral enhancement from the Imperial Ancestral Temple today. If not for the 10 temporary legendary elementary grade doctors provided by the legendary tier ancestral enhancement, he did not know how long it would take him to find a doctor who could treat Guoqiao's injuries. Everyone attack together. Fight to live or fight to our death. Zhou came back to his senses and ordered. Yes. The 9 million soldiers roared in unison. Then, they immediately launched all kinds of long-range attacks at the huge Sakomo. On the battlefield, when Sakomo, who was in the god of death's descend state, saw Su and Wuxia, and the terrifying collective attack behind them, its expression immediately turned serious without too much fear. With a thought, a layer of black skin appeared on the surface of its body, making it look like it was wearing tight light armor. When the 9 million soldiers landed on the black membrane on its body, these attacks seemed to have fallen into water and disappeared. This was one of the 3 pseudo-law skills it had mastered under the god of death's descend, divine power armor. Even though it was not as powerful as a true law skill, it was not a problem to ignore normal attacks below the epic tier. At this moment, Wuxia had already rushed in front of him. Dragon Slayer! He roared angrily, and slashed down at Tsukumo with both axes in his hands. There was actually faint lightning flapping on the 2 axes, forming an illusory blood-colored axe blade more than 3,000 meters long in the air. Rumble! It was as if a divine lightning had struck. A large hole was actually split open in the black membrane, on the surface of Tsukumo's body, by the illusory blood-colored axe blade. Black blood gushed out of the wound. Before it could drip onto the ground, it strangely disappeared into the air. Tsukumo was shocked. Who is this guy? Normally speaking, only law skills could deal with law skills. Even if its law skill was only a temporary fake law skill, it shouldn't be so fragile. Why did this guy only use a hero skill to split open the divine power armor, formed by its fake law skill? His 2 blades slashed through the crazily slashing Wuxia, until he was 700 to 800 meters away. Then, he hurriedly retreated and lowered his head to look at his wound. The wound on his chest was slowly recovering. It did not recover at an extremely fast speed as it had imagined. This hero skill actually countered its fake law skill so much? Tsukumo looked at Wuxia with a solemn expression. Could it be that this guy's hero skill was specially used to deal with law skills? At this moment, Wuxia had already rushed up again. Even though there was a world of difference between their sizes, Wuxia could release axe blades that were thousands of meters long, so he could fight Tsukumo head-on. While fighting, Tsukumo was also observing his surroundings. However, what made its heart solemn was that it did not see where Suin, who had rushed over with Wuxia, was at all. This shrouded its heart in a layer of gloom. Since you're not coming out, I'll deal with this person in front of me first. A cold glint flashed across its eyes. Then, he slashed open Wuxia with his saber, and put his sabers together. Hero skill Death Cross Slash. This was originally an ordinary epic tier hero skill. However, in the state of the god of death descend, it was also tainted with a trace of the aura of the god of death's divine power, and had the weak power of the law of death. Die! A furious roar. A black cross emitting a rich aura of death shot out from its 2 sabers, and attacked Wuxia. Wuxia also felt that this move was not to be trifled with, and prepared to dodge. However, at this moment, Tsukumo suddenly looked deeply at Wuxia with its blood-red eyes. Fake law skill Fear of Death. Chapter 512 Fighting Tsukumo 2. At this moment, Wuxia felt that there was only this pair of eyes left in the world. Its eyes seemed to contain the ultimate fear of all life forms towards the concept of death. Wuxiao's body stiffened. Then, under Tsukumo's dumbfounded gaze, an extremely fanatical expression actually erupted in his eyes. Talent Death of Glory. Hero skill Gods of Dusk. The former could allow him to become stronger the more he died. The latter could ignore any life form, even if the god spirits attached a mental negative buff to it. For example, the ultimate fear from the concept of death in front of him. To Wuxia, fighting to death in battle with a noble bloodline life form was the way he yearned to die the most. Most life forms might be afraid of such death. However, he thought that this was the best resting place for him. He was naturally not frightened by such a death. Ha ha ha! Wuxia laughed fanatically. Then, he ignored the cross-shaped blood mark on his heart, as if he could not feel that his heart had stopped beating. He held the sharp axe and slashed at Tsukumo. Hero skill, Dragon Slaying Axe Technique. The dragons here did not only refer to pure-blooded dragons. It referred to all living beings with noble bloodlines. This was a hero skill specially targeted at noble bloodline life forms. It was also a rather profound combat skill. Tsukumo felt extremely threatened by this hero skill. It held 2 sabers and fought with all its might, but it was suppressed by its exquisite combat skills, and was clearly at a disadvantage. More and more wounds appeared on Sakamo's body. This made its expression extremely ugly. However, in the next second, Wuxia, who was sent flying, threw the blood axe in his hand over. The blood axe was like lightning. In the blink of an eye, it slashed across his right arm and cut off his black star saber. Even Sakamo could not help but cry out in pain. This was because it was possessed by a soul. This strike did not slash at its body, but its soul. The latter was 1,000 times more painful than the former. At this moment, an extremely shocking death crisis suddenly descended on his heart. And then, it realized that the sky suddenly darkened. Or rather, it realized that the world it was in had turned black, as if it was enveloped by a black curtain. In this dark world, Sakamo realized that its perception was greatly restricted. At this moment, a blood shadow suddenly appeared in front of him. It was the Night Rakshasa sword god, Suin. He slashed gently with his sword, cutting off Sakamo's left arm. Sakamo did not have time to think when he saw this. He hurriedly controlled the 2 black star sabers to fly back and slash at Suin in front of him. Suin, who had been struck, actually turned into a blood shadow and disappeared. Another Suin appeared behind Sakamo and cut off its right leg. After Sakamo controlled the black star slash to fly over again, he realized that this Suin was also a blood-colored phantom. Suin's blood shadows appeared one after another, and quickly disappeared after cutting off a portion of Sakamo's body. After repeating it for the 9th time, Suin's 9th sword cut off Sakamo's head. Suin's 9th sword cut off Sakamo's head. As expected of a believer of the god of death, Suin said calmly when he saw the smile on its face. The dark night screen he had set up disappeared. Then, he saw Wuxia with an unwilling expression. "You stole my enemy. This is not honorable," he said angrily. His injuries had already recovered with the help of the divine blood. Even his heart, which had stopped beating, began to beat healthily again. Suin said nothing. At this moment, there was no such thing as fairness and glory in his eyes. The most important thing for them was to deal with the target as quickly as possible. Still, this guy was really strong, stronger than him. If not for the fact that he had first cut through the black membrane on the other party's body and caused a flaw in the other party's physical defense, he would not have been able to deal with the other party so easily with the blood shadow kill. It might even be very difficult to achieve this outcome, because it was a physical defense formed by a fake law skill. He did not have the same fake law skill, or law skill to resist it. He did not even have a hero skill like the dragon slaying axe technique, that specialized in dealing with noble bloodlines. He only had normal attack skills. The Lord has countless experts under his command. Suin sighed. Yesterday, he was still the strongest expert in the Blazing Sun territory. Today the person this title was referring to had changed. The pressure was really a little high. He did not say anything else, and brought Sakamo's corpse to the Lord's location. As for the 2 million soldiers of the Nether Bark army, they had already withdrawn. Sakamo's death was not in vain. On the other side, Zhou looked at the kill notification in front of him. Your subject butcher, Wuxia, Night Rakshasa sword god, Suin has killed an epic tier elementary grade death spirit servant Sakamo. Obtained promotion energy plus 400 million. Loots condensed. Blessing of the war god. Your subject butcher, Wuxia, Night Rakshasa sword god. Suin has obtained an additional 8 billion promotion energy points. Your subject butcher, Wuxia, Night Rakshasa sword god. Suin's hero biography has been updated. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. These 2 subordinates did not disappoint him. After using the god of death descend, the epic tier elementary grade Sakamo's strength had already reached the legendary tier. Moreover, it was a legendary tier expert who could use pseudo-law skills. However, even such an expert was killed by Suin and Wuxia. He was really strong, as expected of a talent with reputation rating and mythical reputation rating. Soon, Suin brought Sakamo's corpse to Zhou, followed closely by Wuxia. It's because I'm not capable enough to keep the 2 million Nether Bark army soldiers alive. Suin lowered his head. Wuxia also reacted and hurriedly lowered his head. It's fine. You two have already done quite well. Zhou smiled. He really did not care about the 2 million Netherbark Legion soldiers who had escaped. On the contrary, if he killed 2 million Netherbark Legion soldiers and escaped from Sakomo, he might not be satisfied. The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou put away Sakomo's corpse and prepared to retrieve the loots later. Then he flew to the front of the soldiers and looked at the dark blue Divine Dragon Barrier. Vast Sea Divine Dragon Barrier. It's really a good capital protection facility. Zhou muttered. Then, he looked at the king of the Taiyan kingdom, who was looking at him with a dark expression in the middle of the capital. Taiyan, you've been watching us since we arrived. Have you seen enough? Zhou said calmly. His voice spread throughout a radius of 50 kilometers. His perception was astonishing. When he first arrived, he felt a burning gaze from the capital. At a glance, he knew that this guy was the king of the Taiyan kingdom, after seeing the monster information. King Taiyan naturally heard it. However, it did not say anything and only looked at it coldly. Zhou did not say anything. His gaze landed on the vast sea divine dragon barrier again, and his heart suddenly skipped a beat. He flipped his right hand, and a diamond tier advance grade bow appeared in his hand. Then he drew the bow. The chaotic origin energy in his body surged out, forming a chaotic arrow on the bow. Bang! The bow was like a thunderbolt. The chaotic arrow turned into a chaotic stream of light and landed on the vast sea divine dragon barrier in the blink of an eye. Creak! The arrow was embedded deep in the barrier. Then, cracks quickly spread in all directions with its landing point as the center. Rumble! Under the dumbfounded gazes of everyone and the monsters, the vast sea divine dragon barrier, that the 2 million Netherbark army soldiers had tried their best to attack for such a long time but could not break, actually shattered with a bang. Chapter 513 Shattering and Instant Death. The surrounding people and soldiers fell silent. Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. I didn't expect that a single arrow would trigger the law of shattering. Then, it directly shattered the vast sea divine dragon barrier. I thought I had to shoot at least a dozen arrows. He thought happily. This shattering law was indeed a law. The effect was indeed extraordinary. The protective facilities of a country's capital could not stop it at all. The 10% probability of triggering the law of shattering was already so strong. He wondered how the effect of the instant death law, which only had a 1% trigger rate, would be. At the thought of this, Zhou had the urge to shoot an arrow. His gaze swept across the fog monsters in the capital, and finally landed on King Taiyan. Are you willing to surrender? If you're willing to surrender to me with your subjects, I can spare the lives of your monster subjects, and let them join my Blazing Sun territory, and become my subjects. Zhou thought for a while and said, the Taiyan king, the surrounding monster subjects, and the other monster subjects who heard Zhou's words were stunned. You want our fog monsters to be your subjects? King Taiyan asked in disbelief. Zhou nodded. Didn't you see the monster soldiers behind me? He pointed at the monster soldiers behind him. King Taiyan and the other monsters fell silent. They did see it. Moreover, what made them feel exaggerated was that this human lord, who had been summoned to the high continent by the supreme resistance, actually had more monster soldiers under his command than ordinary life forms. King Taiyan was silent for a long time before his eyes finally became determined. Our faith in the Crimson Overlord is extremely pure. Don't even think about us surrendering to you, it said with a serious expression. The surrounding monster subjects also looked like they were on the same side and had the same aura. Zhou sneered in his heart. If you are really that loyal, then why are most of the scarlet crystals in your loot's shallow faith tier and true faith tier scarlet crystals? There are pitifully few pious tier and fanatic tier scarlet crystals, let alone Holy Spirit scarlet crystals. You should have seen the difference between us. It's useless to resist. If you don't surrender, only death awaits you. Your king will definitely die, but I can give you scarlet monster subjects a chance. After the battle starts later, as long as you put down your weapons, tie yourself up, and surrender, my soldiers won't kill you after the battle. Moreover, when you come to my territory in the future and become my subjects, The other subjects won't look at you strangely. You can enjoy the same rights and obligations as the other subjects. Also, Zhou raised his hand and pointed at the Taiyan king. I will definitely reward whoever can kill King Taiyan. I mean what I say. He was certain. Actually, if not for the fact that it was almost night, he could not be bothered to say such words to persuade them to surrender. He would have directly asked the soldiers to charge. On the other side, King Taiyan's expression immediately darkened as soon as Zhou finished speaking. The eyes of the other scarlet officials also flickered. Don't be afraid. It's going to be dark soon. This human lord won't be able to withstand the corrosion of the scarlet fog after dark. He will definitely retreat. King Taiyan hurriedly comforted the subjects. The subjects replied on the surface, but they were muttering in their hearts. Yes, the human lord would leave at night. But what about tomorrow? What about in the future? It wasn't like the days would continue to be dark, right? They did not say this out loud, but they already had other thoughts. In the sky, when Zhou saw that the other party had no intention of surrendering, he waved at the soldiers behind him without hesitation. Attack! There's no need to leave anyone alive, he said. Yes, the 9 million soldiers roared. Then, under the lead of the generals, they rushed towards the capital. At this moment, there were less than 100,000 soldiers in the capital to begin with. This was because the other soldiers had already been sent to Left Guardian City to fight the Titan army. Now they had all been dealt with by Zhou. Therefore, the current capital of the Taiyan kingdom was almost equivalent to an undefended city without the vast sea divine dragon barrier. As the soldiers attacked, the situation on the battlefield was almost one-sided towards Zhou. During this period, Zhou also tried to trigger the instant death law. In the end, he only triggered it once after shooting nearly 200 arrows. After the fog monster with the bare body and dog had triggered the law of instant death, its entire body fell to the ground. Even its soul disappeared. This made Zhou sigh. What a terrifying instant death law. A moment later, the capital was captured by Zhou's soldiers. King Taiyan and all its important subjects were captured by the experts of the Blazing Sun territory. Heaven Blood Hall. Zhou sat casually at the place where the Taiyan king and his subjects had discussed the state affairs in the past. Below were the important subjects of the Taiyan kingdom who were being detained. At the front of them was a corpse. It was the corpse of King Taiyan. This king who had ruled the Taiyan kingdom for nearly 100 years could not escape the fate of being stabbed in the back by his subordinates. Zhou's gaze landed on a fog monster with purplish-red skin and a slender body. It had 2 sharp antennae on its head and was wearing a purple minister's outfit. That was it. When King Taiyan was not paying attention, a dagger stabbed into his back and ended his life. Then, it immediately bound itself and pretended to surrender obediently. That was why it was still alive. What's your name? What's your position? Zhou asked with interest. Reporting to my lord. My name is Cecil. In the past, I was a second-grade clothes officer in charge of Taiyan's daily life. Cecil hurriedly flattered. You did well to assassinate King Taiyan. I won't go back on my word. From now on, you are my lord's subject. When I officially control the entire Taiyan kingdom, you can choose a territory below the yellow gold tier, from many territories as your territory, and become the lord of the territory. In the future, as long as you don't violate the laws of our Blazing Sun territory, and do what the city lord of your territory should do, you will continue to be the city lord of your territory. Zhou said, Thank you for the reward, your majesty. I will definitely bear the responsibility of the city lord well, and not disappoint your majesty. When Cecil heard Zhou's words, its eyes immediately became loyal and excited. It immediately knelt on the ground and said excitedly and respectfully, Chapter 514 Epic Tier Lord Talent. Emperor Dragon Emperor Robe. Zhou nodded. Then, his gaze landed on these subjects of the Taiyan kingdom. There were a total of more than 50 fog monsters. He sized them up one by one while checking their attribute information. Facing the human lord's gaze, the scarlet officials trembled slightly with terrified expressions. afraid that they would do something to displease this human lord. However, there were also monster subjects who were looking forward to it while feeling terrified. Cecil's example proved that this human lord really did not care about their identity as monsters. They could survive and might even be placed in an important position by this human lord. A moment later, Zhou retracted his gaze and was a little happy. These fog monster subjects were indeed extraordinary, to be able to become King Tian's subordinates here. He had just looked at their attribute information and realized that none of their professional levels were lower than the extraordinary tier. The lowest was at the extraordinary tier elementary grade. There was even an epic tier intermediate grade blacksmith. Its official position in the Tian Kingdom was a weapons refinement officer. It was in charge of refining high-quality weapons and equipment. Their potential was also quite good. Most of them had extraordinary tier and epic tier potential. Moreover, Zhou also discovered 3 monster generals with legendary tier potential. These were all the strange talents accumulated by the Tian Kingdom in the past 100 years. They were all his now. I want to obtain a large number of high-level professionals to satisfy the requirements to upgrade my territory. Capturing a kingdom-level lord faction is the fastest. You're all people who have already taken the initiative to surrender. You should be willing to be my subjects, right? His gaze landed on these monster subjects and he asked calmly. Yes, of course. We're very willing to be the Lord's subjects. After hearing Zhou's words, these monster subjects hurriedly replied. Then work hard in my territory in the future. As long as you can work hard here and make up for your mistakes. You've worked for King Tian here in the past and even studied how to deal with us. He'll pretend that nothing happened. If you do well, I won't mistreat you. Zhou said calmly. Thank you, my lord. The monster subjects could not help but be overjoyed. Then they said gratefully. Zhou watched this scene calmly. If not for his lord talent, peace and prosperity, he would probably have killed these fog monsters in front of him like other normal lords of all races. The fog monsters and the life forms of all races were natural mortal enemies. Which fog monster was really willing to submit to the lords of all races? Just like how the fog monsters rarely took the life forms of all races as captives. He did not think too much about it. His gaze landed on the corpse of the Tian king in front of him. Monster information appeared. Item name, Tian's corpse, kingdom level Scarlet Lord. Item level, extraordinary tier advanced grade. Item effect, contains unextracted loots. Item description, the corpse of the current king of the Tian kingdom. When he was alive, he made many important decisions for the development of the Tian kingdom, with his astonishing sense of smell and decisiveness. However, it had also caused many major losses to the Tian kingdom, because he trusted his sense of smell too much. Overall, he could be considered a wise lord. After the capital was breached by the Lord of the Blazing Sun's army, he was assassinated by the clothes officer below. Loot's drop rate, 100 extraordinary tier mist cores drop rate, 100%, 500 origin crystals drop rate, 100%, 1 special outfits Black Dragon's prestige drop rate, 15%, 1 special equipment King Gem drop rate, 10%, 1 special tier skill book King Technique drop rate, 10%, 1 epic tier elementary grade Vast Sea Divine Dragon Barrier drop rate, 8%, 1 pious tier Scarlet Crystals drop rate, 3%, 1 extraordinary tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere drop rate, 0%, 6 extraordinary tier elementary grade Lord Talent Crystal Fragment, 0%. Zhou walked over and placed his hand on the corpse before starting to extract it. Lord Talent notification. Your loots have been enhanced by the King of Loots, Perfect Loots. Grade +1. Title hint. Your loots have been affected by the title of the strongest lord. The number of loots has increased by 150%. Lord Talent notification. You have obtained Perfect Loots, 250 Mist Cores, Epic Tier. 1,500 Origin Crystals, 3 Emperor Dragon Sacred Robes, Special Tier. 3 Emperor Gems, Special Tier. 3 Emperor Heart Technique Skill Books, Special Tier. 1 Legendary Tier Elementary Grade Sun Moon Heavenly Barrier. 1 Scarlet Crystals, Fantastic Tier. 1 Lord Talent Sphere Epic Tier. 15 Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, Epic Tier. With a thought, he put away the loots that had yet to drop on the ground into his spatial ring. Even with Zhou's usually calm mentality, he could not help but look happy when he saw the loots in the spatial ring. The effect of the strongest lord of all races, and the strongest lord of all races, increasing the number of loots by 150% was too strong. It directly turned the original 6 extraordinary tier, Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, into 15 epic tier, Lord Talent Crystal Fragments. With so many Lord Talent Crystal Fragments, he could synthesize an epic tier Lord Talent Sphere to awaken a new epic tier Lord Talent, or upgrade an extraordinary tier Lord Talent to the epic tier. Not to mention the epic tier Lord Talent provided by Taean. Awesome. He sat on the throne again, and ignored the monster subjects who were still waiting for him to speak. He checked the loots. There was naturally no need to mention the mist cores and origin crystals. He looked at the clothes of the 3 yellow gold tier dragons that were completely golden, and had an extremely dignified yellow gold tier dragon swimming on the surface. The yellow gold tier dragon was lifelike and looked like it was real. A text notification appeared. Outfit name: Emperor Dragon Robe. Outfit grade: Special tier. Outfits effect 1. Emperor Dragon Prestige. A life form wearing the Emperor Dragon Robe will emit an invisible Emperor's prestige with every move, making countless life forms revere him. At the same time, he can ignore the pressure type ability exerted on him by any life form, and take the initiative to counterattack. Set attribute 2. Emperor Dragon Disposition. Life forms wearing the Emperor Dragon Robe can easily obtain the active loyalty of other life forms, and gradually increase the loyalty of the surrounding people. Set attribute 3. Emperor Dragon Protection. When a living being wearing the Emperor Dragon Robe is attacked, the soul of the Emperor Dragon attached to the Emperor Dragon Robe will automatically defend against this attack, and can take the initiative to counterattack to a certain extent. Set attribute 3. Emperor Dragon Transformation. Life forms wearing the Emperor Dragon Emperor Robe can change their clothes, body, and face to any form on the surface. At the same time, they can also hide their stats information. Life forms below the true god tier can't see through the changes in the Emperor Dragon Emperor Robe. Introduction. The Emperor Dragon, a legendary dragon born from the providence of the Emperor. Legendary tier: every life form wearing the yellow gold tier Emperor Dragon Robe will become the world's attention-grabbing emperor in the future. Good outfit. Zhou's eyes lit up. From the name and effect, he knew that this outfit was for the Lord. Just in time. The new wind ceremony he used to wear could no longer keep up with him. It was the perfect time to change into a new set. Moreover, there were a total of 3 Emperor Dragon robes, so he could change them as and when. Zhou took out one and put it on. A large number of notifications appeared in front of him. These people and monsters that had increased their loyalty were the ones looking at him in this hall. A top-grade outfit. Zhou sighed. Chapter 515 Emperor's Gem. Emperor's Heart Technique. Sun and Moon Heavenly Barrier. Zhou looked at the second special loots. They were 3 12-faced gems that emitted a golden light. Treasure name: Emperor's Gem. Treasure grade: Special tier. Treasure effect: it can be used to trade and obtain a large number of mist cores. It is also a collectible. It can also be embedded in the equipment to decorate the equipment when forging equipment. Treasure description: the Emperor of Gems is the most precious gem below the God tier gem. It is often used by life forms to collect or decorate. If you sell it, you will obtain a large number of mist cores. Trade, collectible, decoration. So it's just a collectible? Zhou shook his head. He was not very interested in such things, and would hand it over to the mysterious caravan later, and see if he could sell it. Then he looked at the next loots. The Emperor Heart Technique. Skill name: Emperor Heart Technique. Skill quality: Special tier. Skill description: after using it, the user will gradually understand and master the path of an emperor in the future when dealing with the territory's matters. He will gradually become a qualified, outstanding, and even legendary emperor. There's actually such a skill book. Zhou was shocked. It did not seem to have any active effect, but if it could really allow him to gradually master the path of the emperor, while dealing with the territory's matters as it described, it was indeed the skill that Zhou needed the most now. Zhou had only become a lord for a short time. He did not know much about what many lords should understand. This was also why he handed most of the territory's matters to Zheng Yuanqi, since he did not know how to deal with the territory problems. Only someone like Zheng Yuanqi, who had been the prime minister of the Aurora Kingdom for many years, could handle these territorial matters with his own hands. However, this method could only resolve it for a while. It could not be resolved for the time being. Zhou had to come into contact with, understand, and master the way to deal with the territory sooner or later. In particular, he was about to establish the #1 kingdom of the human race on the cerulean planet and become the monarch of a country. He needed to increase his ability in this aspect even more. He could not just rely on Zheng Yuanqi to do it. Otherwise, his subjects might suspect something over time. Was the Lord of the Blazing Sun Zheng Yuanqi or him? Zhou could not let such a thing happen. Therefore, he had to understand and master the way to deal with the territory's matters. This Emperor Heart technique was indeed the skill he lacked the most at the moment. Zhou did not hesitate and took out the book to learn. Soon, this Emperor Heart technique skill book turned into countless golden light spots and surged into his glabella. At this moment, Zhou felt memories of countless emperors dealing with political matters, military affairs, people's livelihoods, extraordinary humans, monsters, god spirits, and other national matters surge into his mind. There were too many of them. In the end, only a small portion of the memories were completely grasped by Zhou. The remaining emperor's memories were all hidden in the deepest part of his memories, waiting for him to gradually dig, use, and master them in the future. Zhou opened his eyes. The temperament on his body quietly changed. Under the hall, when the ministers saw the current Zhou, for some reason, their bodies tensed up. They did not dare to have any thoughts of disobeying, as if they were facing an emperor who had accumulated the might of an emperor for 10,000 years. If previously, Zhou had accumulated a little of the dignity and aura of a superior in his 20-odd days as a lord, then now, Zhou seemed to have become a big shot who had been in power for a long time in the eyes of everyone. It was even more terrifying than that. What's wrong with my lord? Why do I suddenly feel like he's a different person? It's simply like an ignorant young man who has just been born suddenly becoming a big shot with high authority. Bai Yun, who was closest to Zhou, looked at him in surprise. Wuxian looked at Zhou with shining eyes. Unbelievable. This aura and gaze. He's many times stronger than Li Yuangan. My lord. He seems to have suddenly grown a lot. His eyes were filled with relief. It was naturally a good thing for subordinates like them to have such a lord as their lord. On the throne, Zhou was also savoring his current feelings and the emperor's memories that he had just digested. Even though it's not a powerful attack skill or support skill, it can only be considered a passive skill at most. However, this Emperor Heart technique is simply too useful to me. It's indeed the skill I need the most at this stage. Zhou was very happy. From now on, he was no longer afraid of dealing with the territory's matters. On the contrary, he was even a little eager to give it a try after grasping so many emperor memories. There's no hurry. The kingdom is about to be established. When the time comes, there will be places for me to show my abilities. Zhou thought to himself. In addition, he was not the only one who wanted to test his ability to deal with government affairs. In the depths of his memories, the more comprehensive memories of the emperor also needed him to awaken them one by dealing with the territory's matters. If he could only be considered a qualified emperor now, then, if he wanted to grow to the level of being outstanding, and even the most powerful emperor in history, he had to deal with daily territory matters and master the emperor's memories hidden in his subconscious. After he completely grasped the memories of the emperors, it would not be an extravagant hope to become in existence at the same level as the one emperor of all ages. After a long time, he calmed down from obtaining the Emperor's Heart technique and looked at the next loots. It was a fist-sized circular light barrier. This light barrier was like Taiji, and was divided into a black and a white light. The black light represented the night. On the surface, there was a sun-moon star that was slowly moving according to the circulation pattern. The white light represented daytime. On the surface, there was a sun that was also moving slowly according to the circulation pattern. It was the quality of the vast sea divine dragon barrier, +1 loots. Sun Moon Heavenly Barrier. Treasure name: Sun and Moon Heavenly Barrier. Treasure grade: Legendary tier elementary grade. Treasure effect: Sun and Moon cycle. After activation, it can absorb the light elemental energy and dark elemental energy from the outside world, as the energy reserve of the Sun and Moon Heavenly Barrier. It is used for daily maintenance. There is no need for additional external energy replenishment. Treasure effect: Sun Moon Heavenly Blessing. After activation, it can resist the attack energy of the outside world. It can completely defend against legendary tier elementary grade attacks. The upper limit of its defense is equivalent to a controller's strength realm +1. Treasure effect: Heart of Sun and Moon. The energy density in the air has increased by 1000% within a radius of 1000 kilometers of the Sun and Moon Heaven Barrier. Treasure effect: Sun and Moon Revolving. The treasure controller can adjust the day and night changes of the Sun and Moon as heavenly cover by consuming the reserve of light and darkness energy, thereby increasing their strength. Daytime increases the strength of the Sun and Moon in the Heaven Barrier by an additional 30%. During the moonlit night, increases the damage reduction by an additional 30% in the Sun and Moon Heaven Barrier. Sun and Moon in the Sky increases the strength of the Sun and Moon in the Sky Barrier by an additional 30% and reduces additional damage by 30%. Treasure description: A special military formation treasure created by the Sun and Moon Taoist after imitating an ancient array formation. After failing, he traded it. Later, it was obtained by the king of the Taiyan Kingdom and was treated as a treasure to protect the country. Chapter 516 Kingdom Golden Tablet. A military formation treasure? Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. He had heard of such a treasure from Wuxia. Such military formation treasures did not need the user to have any understanding of military formations. As long as the energy in their bodies could drive the treasure, they could directly use the military formation engraved in the treasure. It was a shortcut for generals who were unwilling to learn military formations, but needed them to fight. If I directly placed the Sun and Moon Heaven Barrier on the battlefield and activated the Sun and Moon Heaven Barrier during battle, I can directly increase the strength of my soldiers by 30%. Zhou Zhou was very satisfied with the effect of this treasure. Most importantly, it could be stacked with the 100% additional strength increase and 50% additional damage reduction of the title of the strongest lord, which meant his soldiers could almost immediately increase their strength by 130% and reduce additional damage by 80% on the battlefield with the enhancement of the title of the strongest lord and the Sun and Moon together. The soldier's combat strength and life-saving abilities would be greatly enhanced. Then, when he saw the words unclaimed at the back, he chose to let it recognize him as its master without hesitation. Zhou Zhou put it away after that. As for the final epic tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere, it was not too late to look at it when he returned. Now he had more important things to do. Do you know where the Kingdom Token is? Zhou Zhou asked Ansel. I know. The Kingdom Token is in the King's Temple of the Taiyan Kingdom. That's the most tightly guarded place in the entire capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. Other than the statues of the previous kings of the Taiyan Kingdom, there's also the kingdom's golden tablet. The Kingdom Token is in the kingdom's golden token. Ansel replied respectfully, Take me there. Su and Guoqiao, you guys come with me. As for the others, clean up the entire palace, collect and organize the loot here. Zhou Zhou said, Yes, your majesty. Yes, my lord. Ansel was delighted and immediately said. Suan and Guoqiao also nodded respectfully. Then, Ansel brought Zhou Zhou, Suan and Guoqiao to the king's temple. Zhou Zhou looked at the ferocious, mighty, evil, and cold statues of the Taiyan king in front of him. He walked over calmly, not even interested in taking a look at these statues. They arrived in front of the kingdom's golden tablet in no time. This was a golden stone tablet that was more than 10 meters tall and seemed to emit a mysterious dignity. However, Zhou did not care. There was only excitement and anticipation in his expression. He looked at its endurance. Good God! A total of 10 billion. His white platinum tier intermediate grade territory stone tablet only had 20 million endurance. There was a difference of 50 times. As expected of the kingdom's golden token, Su and Wuxia break it. Zhou took a deep breath and said in a low voice. Fortunately, he had Suan and Wuxia, two epic tier experts by his side. Otherwise, he would have to go back and find someone to shatter the golden tablet. Yes, my lord. X2 The two of them began to attack the golden stone tablet with all kinds of methods without hesitation. Under the joint attack of the two epic tier experts, the endurance of the kingdom's golden token began to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. A moment later, there was a loud bang. The 10-meter-tall kingdom golden tablet collapsed with a bang. The three tokens floated in the original position of the golden tablet. Two of them. One was an extraordinary tier regional token from the capital of the Taiyan kingdom. The other was the extraordinary tier advanced grade territory token of the Taiyan kingdom. As for the last token, it was completely golden. It was the extraordinary tier advanced grade kingdom token used by the Taiyan kingdom when it was founded. Zhou took a deep breath and walked over. He first put away the territory token and regional token. Then, he looked at the kingdom token and finally placed his hand on it. A text notification appeared. Do you want to collect the kingdom token? Yes, Zhou said. As soon as he finished speaking, the floating kingdom token seemed to have lost its power and landed in his hand. Then, lines of golden text suddenly appeared in front of Zhou. It also appeared in front of billions of Cerulean Planet Lords. Cerulean Planet World Channel Lord announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun, becoming the first Lord to break through a kingdom-level Lord faction. Reward: Supreme Treasure Chest +1, Reputation Rating +5. Cerulean Planet World Channel announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Cerulean Planet World Channel announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun. Zhou raised his eyebrows. Is it just a Lord announcement on the Cerulean Planet's entire channel? What a pity. He thought that this matter would trigger the announcement of the Lord of all races on the entire channel again. He thought that this matter would trigger the announcement of the Lord of all races on the entire channel again. Well, actually breaking through a kingdom-level Lord faction could be done as long as one was strong enough. For example, the true Lord of the original Spirit race, the Great One Lord of the Chaos God race, the Heaven-chasing Lord of the Shepherd race, and other powerful lords. If they used their full strength, they might be able to break through a kingdom, but they might suffer heavy losses. Not like him. It was not an exaggeration to say that they would be easily crushed. If this could appear on the entire channel of the Lords of all races, then this announcement would be too casual. One had to know that he had obtained first place in a Lord's event, and was lucky enough to appear on the announcement once. A request of this level was definitely impossible to equate to breaking through the strength of a kingdom-level Lord. Still, you can't appear on the announcement of the Lord of all races if you break through a kingdom. What about building a kingdom? What about establishing the first kingdom among the Lords of all races? Zhou thought to himself. The more he thought about it, the harder his heart pounded. There were 3 requirements for establishing a kingdom. First, possess an extraordinary tier advanced grade treasure, kingdom token. He had naturally achieved it. Secondly, it had at least 30 regional territories, and at least one of them was an extraordinary tier regional territory, to be the capital of the kingdom. Zhou had reached this level. He had conquered a total of 48 territories today alone. As for extraordinary tier regional territories, the Taiyan Kingdom King was one of them. However, Zhou did not plan to set this place up as the capital of the Blazing Sun Kingdom in the future. The capital of the Blazing Sun Kingdom naturally had to be Blazing Sun City. When he returned today, he would use the Territory Fusion Certificate to fuse Blazing Sun City into an extraordinary tier regional territory. He had previously exchanged for a gradeless Territory Fusion Certificate. As long as they used it to fuse Blazing Sun City with the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom, the Blazing Sun Territory would naturally be able to successfully advance to the extraordinary tier regional territory in the capital of the Taiyan Kingdom. So be it. It was not as important as building a kingdom. As for the third condition, it was even easier to have at least 3 heroes of the same race in the kingdom who could protect the kingdom. He already had a total of 6 human heroes under his command. It had long exceeded the requirements to build a kingdom. After I return today, I'll increase the level of Blazing Sun City's regional territory, and then I can build a kingdom. Zhou thought to himself, looking forward to it. Chapter 5:17 Taiyan's Treasure Vault. Divine Crystal Fragment. 1. At the thought that he was going to build a kingdom tonight, Zhou's heart surged for a while before gradually calming down. Then, he inadvertently glanced at it and realized that after the Lord announcement on the Cerulean planet's entire channel, a few notifications that were not so obvious appeared in front of him. Zhou looked at them one by one. Lord Talent notification. Congratulations, you have captured a kingdom and triggered the White Silver Tier Lord Talent Embrace of the Conqueror. You have obtained the loyalty of a hero with an extraordinary tier hero fate level slot. The Lord of the End class hint. You have destroyed a beginner kingdom level Lord faction and collected 20% of the power of the Law of the End. The grade of the Crown of the Final has increased by another step. Current collection progress of the power of the Final Law, 0%. The Lord of the End class hint. You have destroyed a beginner kingdom level Lord faction and collected 100 points of Final Nirvana power progress. You can use 100 points of Final Nirvana power to exchange for a chance to revive after death and increase your strength greatly after revival. Current power of Final Nirvana, 100 points. Current number of resurrections, 0. The Lord of the End class hint. You have destroyed a beginner kingdom level Lord faction. A member of the Final Guard has received your summon. You can summon him. Current number of members of the Final Guard, 1 summonable. Zhou looked at these notifications and could not help but smile. As expected, it was very beneficial to him to break through a kingdom-level faction. The loyalty of a hero, with an extraordinary tier hero's fate level slot. A chance to revive. A Divine Kingdom soldier type A member of the Final Guard. He only captured a beginner kingdom, and already had all these opportunities that other lords did not even dare to think about. Not bad, not bad. Zhou was very satisfied. I'll take a look at my Final Guard. Summon, he whispered. A grayish-white aura surged out of his glabella and formed a 2-meter-tall human in front of him. He wore a grayish-white helmet and grayish-white armor. He carried a grayish-white spear on his back and a grayish-white sword wrapped around his waist. His entire body emitted an aura that seemed to come from the end, making him look mysterious and serious. Greetings, my lord. He knelt on the ground and said calmly, Get up. Zhou helped him up and looked at his personal information. Subject, Jiangyuan, Territory, Blazing Sun City, Soldier Type Class Name. Spear of the End, Strength Level, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, synchronized with the Lord of the End. Ability Overview. A terrifying life form born from the end of the Lord of the End's exclusive soldier type. It has a body that can be constantly reborn, and has mastered the laws of shattering and instant death. Even God's spirits will be afraid of their weapons. Skills, Talent, Spear Genius Talent, Agility and Quickness Talent, Innate Divine Power, Divine Kingdom Soldier Type Talent, Power of Destruction, Divine Kingdom Soldier Type Talent, Law of Shattering, Divine Kingdom Soldier Type Talent, Instant Death Law, Divine Kingdom Soldier Type Talent, Final Disaster Body, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, Final Spear Technique, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade Killing Sword Technique, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade Physical, Immunity, Diamond Tier Advanced Grade, Loyalty, 100 Dead Loyal, Potential, Unknown. Zhou nodded. As expected of a Divine Kingdom Soldier type, Just like Soul Reaper Maris, they both had Divine Kingdom soldier-type talents. Unfortunately, there's only one of them. It would be even better if there were more Final Guard members. Zhou thought greedily. Then he chatted with Jiang Yuan for a while. After learning more details about his soldier-type abilities, he put it back into his spiritual space between his eyebrows. This summoning and retraction method was very safe and hidden. Zhou was also very satisfied. Then, he collected the tokens of the 3 Kingdom Golden Tokens, and carefully checked the King's Temple again. In the end, he did not find any other treasures. This place is too poor. Zhou looked very disdainful. Ansel, where are the treasures in the Taiyan Kingdom? Do you know? Zhou asked Ansel. Treasure? That must be Taiyan's treasure vault. Ansel said without hesitation. Treasure vault? Zhou's eyes lit up. Take me there. He immediately said. Yes, Your Majesty. Please follow me. Ansel immediately said, and brought Zhou and the other 2 to the Taiyan treasure vault. Taiyan's treasure vault. Zhou looked at the technological silver treasure vault and frowned. Things from the Machina race? The Taiyan Kingdom had existed for hundreds of years. After hundreds of years of accumulation, it was not strange for there to be something. He walked to the door of the treasure vault and realized that there was a very complicated password lock on the right side of its door. Who else knows the password to this password lock other than Taiyan? Zhou asked. Taro also knows about the 4-armed Mara King, but it went out to fight with its troops previously and hasn't returned yet. I don't know any other person who may know about it. Towards the end, Ansel looked at Zhou carefully. Chapter 518 Taiyan's Treasure Vault. Divine Crystal Fragment. 2. Zhou said nothing. The 4-armed Mara King. Taro had long become the hero inheritance secret manual in his hands. King Taiyan was also stabbed in the back and died. In other words, no one knew the password to open the Taiyan treasure vault. He thought for a moment, and suddenly had an idea. Then he stood on the spot, and waited quietly without saying anything. 2 seconds later, a starry night suddenly flew over from afar, and floated in the sky. The shadow of the spaceship enveloped Taiyan's treasure vault, and everyone below. My lord, Wuxia is here. Wuxia's voice sounded in Zhou's mind. Can you open this treasure vault? Zhou asked. Please wait a moment. Wuxia trailed off. Soon. My lord, the technology level of this treasure vault is at the Diamond Tier Intermediate grade. With my computational ability, it will take about 39 minutes and 12 seconds to calculate the password to open it. However, it should be much faster if the Lord's Machina race clone takes action. Wuxia trailed off. When Zhou heard the introduction, he felt that it was a little long. However, when he heard the last sentence he was stunned. You mean my ultimate Lord Avatar? Zhou asked. Yes, my lord. In addition to Lord Mechanical Father's hero skills, super calculation and hero skill, true simulation, it will be much easier for him to calculate the password to open it. When you trailed off, Zhou was a little surprised. Honestly, he had only obtained this mythical tier unique lord talent for a short period of time. He usually subconsciously ignored his abilities. If not for Wuxia's reminder, he would have almost forgotten that the ultimate lord, Zhou, could also help. Without hesitation, he called out the ultimate lord Zhou. The ultimate lord Zhou. His strength realm had already increased to the yellow gold tier elementary grade, with the help of the unified core energy. After he came out, he did not say anything else. He went straight to the door, and placed his palm on the position where he had entered the password. Then, his body emitted a faint silver light, and his eyes flickered with countless silver data light. More than 10 seconds later, buzz, accompanied by a buzzing sound, the door of the Taiyan treasure vault that was still closed slowly opened, and the light of various treasures suddenly bloomed from inside. When Zhou saw this, he looked at the calm ultimate Lord Zhou in surprise. I'm best at computing, and hero skills are related to calculus. It's very easy to crack this password. The ultimate Lord, Zhou said calmly. Zhou nodded and walked in with him, Suan and Guiqiao. In the treasure vault. When Zhou and the other 3 entered, They saw that this treasure vault that covered nearly 10,000 square meters was filled with all kinds of treasures. They looked over. Miss Core's equipment, skill books, pet eggs, high-level building materials, scrolls. There were all kinds of treasures dazzling everyone. The most eye-catching thing was a small mountain more than 10 meters tall piled up by the mist cores. Zhou walked over and swept his mental strength across them. He realized that the lowest level of these mist cores was yellow gold tier. There were even 4 epic tier mist cores. There were also more than 500 extraordinary tier mist cores. Zhou was surprised. One had to know that the Taiyan Kingdom did not have the heavenly mist treasure bag in his hand, so there was no way to obtain a higher level mist core by fusing with it. Which meant the extraordinary tier and epic tier mist cores in front of him were gradually accumulated through killing or trading in the hundreds of years since the Taiyan Kingdom was established. They were placed in this treasure vault and could not be easily used. Perhaps the previous kings of the Taiyan Kingdom wanted to use them as the last retreat route for the Taiyan Kingdom. Now, it's all mine. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. He waved his right hand and put these mist cores into his heavenly mist treasure bag. Zhou also knew the total value of these mist cores when they entered his heavenly mist treasure bag. It was about the total value of 800 legendary tier mist cores. It's just SOSO. Looks like the Taiyan Kingdom is not a rich kingdom. Zhou muttered in his heart. The 30 million skill books and 50 million pieces of equipment he had sold yesterday had sold more than 1,800 legendary tier mist cores, far exceeding the pile of mist cores in front of him. However, even so, he naturally did not mind these mist cores. Then he began to stroll around the Taiyan treasure vault. Along the way, he casually picked up a bow and arrow. This bow and arrow was completely scarlet and emitted a faint fire light. It was warm to the touch and felt very good. Zhou sized up the bow carefully and quickly realized that there was an illusory figure like a fire phoenix swimming on the bow. At the same time, the equipment information appeared. Equipment name: Scarlet Phoenix Blood Jade Bow. Equipment grade: Extraordinary tier elementary grade. Equipment effect 1: Blood Phoenix Feather Arrow. Use your own energy to communicate with the Scarlet Phoenix Blood Jade Bow and condense the power of the Phoenix blood, forming a feather-shaped arrow with the Scarlet Phoenix Spirit Fire that shoots at the enemy. The Scarlet Phoenix Spirit Fire has 2 characteristics: indestructibility and burning. Only spiritual water of the same level can extinguish the Scarlet Phoenix Spirit Fire. Equipment effect 2: Scarlet Phoenix Soaring Sky Arrow. Form a Scarlet Phoenix Soaring Sky Arrow to shoot at the enemy at the price of consuming the Scarlet Phoenix True Blood in the bow. The Scarlet Phoenix Soaring Sky Arrow can kill epic tier elementary grade enemies at most. This seems to be a special equipment forged with a drop of Scarlet Phoenix True Blood as the core material. The owner of this drop of Scarlet Phoenix True Blood should be a low-tier deity-level Scarlet Phoenix. Otherwise, it's impossible to forge extraordinary tier equipment with just a drop of True Blood and unleash the power of the highest epic tier elementary grade. Zhou's gaze was sharp. He roughly understood the bow after playing with it for a while. He looked at it for a while more before putting away the bow and the 20 Blood Phoenix feather arrows beside it. He would hand them over to Bai Yin later. Bai Yin's current strength was extraordinary tier elementary grade, and this bow was also an extraordinary tier elementary grade weapon. No one in his territory was more suitable for this equipment than Bai Yin. Then, he did not stay any longer and continued to stroll around the treasure vault. When he encountered treasures that were suitable for him or his subordinates, he would directly put them into his spatial ring so that he could use them or hand them to his subordinates in the future. During the process of looking at the treasures, Zhou also realized that this treasure vault was indeed a treasure vault. There were all kinds of treasures preserved inside. The lowest was a yellow gold tier treasure. Moreover, there were the fewest treasures of this level. White platinum tier and diamond tier treasures were the most common. As for extraordinary tier and epic tier treasures, even though there were not many of them, they were all high quality. Moreover, there were also treasures that even Zhou, the king of loots, was very surprised by. For example, the treasure in Zhou hand. It was a blue ball of light that emitted a faint lightning glow. The blue ball of light floated in Zhou's hand. A familiar pressure emitted from its body, making him secretly shocked. This pressure? Could it be? Zhou looked at it, and suddenly had a guess that he could not believe. When its interface information appeared, Zhou's expression immediately became surprised and delighted. Really? Zhou muttered. Treasure name: Divine Spark Fragment, God of Glimmer. Treasure grade: Low-tier deity, advanced grade. Treasure effect: the user has a chance of comprehending a lost skill from the fragment of the divine persona. Treasure description: this divine spark fragment came from a god of Glimmery, who became a god with the law of Glimmery in the light spirit small world. Later on, this god spirit was killed by an abyssal evil god when he came to the high continent to pursue a higher god realm. The god spirit fragment accidentally fell into the Taiyan kingdom and was obtained by the 12th king of the Taiyan kingdom. It was stored in its treasure vault as its most precious treasure. That pressure is indeed the pressure of a god spirit. Zhou looked at the divine spark fragment and thought to himself. Then he put it away. Chapter 519 Two New Lord Talents. 1. Apart from this divine spark fragment, Zhou also obtained the elemental gem resources that he had been longing for a long time. Among them, there were basic elemental gems and thunder elemental gems. His territory had the corresponding minerals and monster ranch production, so he did not lack them. However, he had obtained a lot of high-level elemental gems from the Taiyan treasury. There were 8,412 life elemental gems and 7,650 death elemental gems. With these gems, I can upgrade my territory when I go back. A smile appeared on Zhou's face. In the next half an hour, Zhou looked through the remaining treasures in Taiyan's treasure vault. In the end, he realized that there were about 30,000 treasures in this huge treasure vault. Among these treasures, there were those that Zhou was interested in, and those that he was not. This is the first time I felt that looking at treasures is boring. Zhou thought to himself with a smile on his face. It had to be said. This trip to the treasure vault had given him a taste of his own medicine. Then he turned around and looked at the treasure vault. After sized up it for a while, he suddenly asked in his heart, Ultimate Wuxia, can you take this treasure vault away? Sure. This Machina race's treasure vault has its own space compression and flying movement functions. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a small mobile treasure vault spaceship. You only need a command to take it away. Wuxia did not speak. The ultimate Lord Zhou said directly, Then take it away. This is not bad. It can be used as our territory's treasure vault in the future. From now on, it will no longer be called the Taiyan Treasure Vault. It will be called the Blazing Sun Treasure Vault No. 1. Zhou immediately said. Thanks to the vast amount of resources obtained by the King of Loots, he had been storing them in the territory's warehouse. Even though this territory warehouse could also store these resources, the safety was not very high, and the space was not very big. This mechanical treasury could completely replace the territory warehouse to store the excess loots for the development of the territory. That was why Zhou wanted the ultimate Lord Zhou and Wuxia to research a way to create it, and create a few more. Wuxia and I have a lot of research quests recently. I'm afraid we don't have that much time. The ultimate Lord, Zhou said. He was currently studying the mechanical technology blueprints that he had obtained from Lord Father with Wuxia. He was indeed very busy. It's okay. There's no hurry about the mechanical warehouse. We can arrange for it to be researched at the end. Zhou smiled and patted his shoulder. Yes, my lord. Wuxia trailed off. The ultimate Lord Zhou nodded. Then he walked to the door and placed his hand on it. Right on the heels of that, he and the treasure vault emitted a silver glow at the same time. A few seconds later, the ground trembled slightly. Then, the huge Machina race treasure vault gradually floated up. Then it quickly shrank and became a palm-sized mini Machina race treasure vault. Then it flew in front of Zhou. Ansel, who had brought them here, was stunned at such a scene. Even Suan and Guiqiao, who had seen Zhou's various methods, were somewhat shocked. On the other side, Zhou looked at the mini Machina race treasure vault in front of him. He took it and looked at it curiously. Then he passed it to the Starry Night spaceship in the sky. When you take it? When I return to Blazing Sun City. I'll just set it up in Blazing Sun City. Zhou said through mental communication. Yes, my lord. When you said respectfully. Zhou nodded and left with everyone. At this moment, the sky had already turned completely dark. The scarlet fog gradually filled the air. However, because the king's city of the Taiyan Kingdom had already become Zhou's territory, the supreme barrier and the supreme defense had already appeared and protected this place, preventing the scarlet fog from invading. After a long time, Heaven Blood Hall. On the throne, Zhou was sitting alone with his eyes closed. An invisible aura of an emperor emanated from his body. Even if he did not say anything, the others were still a little cautious and uneasy. My lord. At this moment Bai Yi's voice sounded. Zhou opened his eyes and saw Bai Yin standing at the bottom of the hall with a list. Reporting to my lord. General Wuxia has already led his men to attack Right Guardian City and collected all the spoils of war that are worth taking away. After that, we retrieved all the spoils of war from the monster corpses. After calculating by our quartermaster, all the spoils of war for today have been sorted out. This is the specific list. Please take a look, my lord. Bai Yin said respectfully. Bring it up. Yes. Bai Yin brought the list to Zhou with both hands. Zhou took it and looked at it. Today, they had occupied a total of 48 regional territories and eliminated nearly 11 million fog monsters. Among these fog monsters, other than more than 4 million of them being fog monster soldiers, the remaining 9 million fog monsters were all fog monster civilians. Zhou naturally had no pity for these fog monster soldiers, who had not been recruited by the Insight defection, and could not be persuaded to surrender through verbal communication. He directly got the soldiers to deal with them. For today's battle, it was not an exaggeration to say that they had wiped out the entire Taiyan Kingdom's fog monsters. It was really amazing. In fact, it had also brought them quite shocking benefits. With the enhancement of the King of Loots and the title of the Strongest Lord, he obtained a total of loots. 48 regional tokens, green bronze tier to extraordinary tier. 512 territory tokens, black iron tier to extraordinary tier. 140 epic tier mist cores. 3,120 extraordinary tier mist cores. 65,430 diamond tier mist cores. 162,350 white platinum tier mist cores. 1,018,920 yellow gold tier mist cores. 1,507,810 white silver tier mist cores. And 2,951,360 green bronze tier mist cores. There were 70,159,632 skill books, and 111,104,521 pieces of equipment. Basic materials. 100 billion and 15 million units. 495 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 156 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 12 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 1 epic tier Scarlet Lord Talent sphere. And 1 extraordinary tier Scarlet Lord Talent sphere. This was the list of loots. As for the improvement of the soldiers, there was no record of it for the time being, because the triumphal arch hadn't passed today. He looked at the skill books and equipment on the list. Zhou thought for a moment, and did not throw it into the marketplace as usual. The number of soldiers under his command could be said to be different every day. These skill books and equipment should be used on his soldiers first. After satisfying the needs of his soldiers, it would not be too late to throw the excess skill books and equipment to the marketplace to sell. How's the construction of the spatial teleportation array going? Zhou looked up and asked. Master Jing Hongzi is building a spatial teleportation array. It should be ready by tonight. Bai Yin said respectfully. Chapter 522 New Lord Talents, Part 2. Zhou nodded and said. Then let the soldiers stay here for the night and arrange the things here. Well, bring the soldiers back to Blazing Sun City tomorrow morning. Leave this matter to one of your subordinates. call Wu Exai and Wu Tu, Feng Luo, Luo Sheng, and the other important generals over. They'll return to the Blazing Sun territory with me later. I have something important to do. You have to be there. Zhou Zhou said in a low voice. The major event he was talking about was naturally the establishment of the first beginner kingdom of the human race on the Cerulean planet. This was a major matter that concerned the entire territory, so he naturally could not do it alone. Yes, my lord, Bai Yin said respectfully. She could vaguely guess what her lord was going to do, and a trace of passion flashed in the depths of her eyes. Then, she didn't waste any time, and immediately turned around to call for help. A moment later, in an empty space in the palace, Bai Yun Wu Exai Feng Luo, Wu Tu Luo Sheng, Suan Guiqiao Nazario Auguste Maris, all the important generals and subordinates who had followed Zhou Zhou since the establishment of Blazing Sun territory gathered here. Zhou Zhou looked at them, and suddenly felt a surge of ambition in his heart. These were all the people who fought for the position of Lord of all races, and chased after the Lord of all races. And this was only the beginning. In the future, his territory team would definitely continue to expand. All kinds of experts, generals, strategists, geniuses, they would all gather here, and help him ascend to the higher peak of the lords of the myriad races. Let's board the ship. Let's return to Blazing Sun City. Yes, everyone shouted. Then, they no longer hesitated and flew into the starry night that they had been waiting for a long time. Zhou Zhou entered last. Then he chanted return to the city in his heart. The spaceship carrying Zhou Zhou and the Blazing Sun territory's generals and experts suddenly vanished into thin air. The Blazing Sun territory, under the supreme barrier. It was a peaceful time when all the houses were lit up. The Blazing Sun territory was still very lively, even though it was already very late. On the well-planned streets, the lifestyle professional subjects were doing their best to sell their goods. The other subjects were on the streets, chatting and laughing as they shopped and walked. It looked like a scene from the peaceful times. At this moment, a huge silver-black spaceship suddenly appeared in the sky. It was the starry night. Many subjects were used to this. Many of them looked at the spaceship with admiration and yearning. His lordship is back. His lordship is really busy. He comes back so late every day. But it's also because of this that we can live such a peaceful and happy life. I've already hired a craftsman to build a Lord statue at home and pray to the Lord every day. Haha, what a coincidence. It's the same at my house. Me too. Everyone laughed in disgust. On the other side, after Zhou Zhou brought his men down from the spaceship, he gave Bai Yin an order. Bai Yin Wu Exai, go and invite Vice City Lord Zheng and the important officials of the other territories over. Then, go to the administrative hall and let them discuss the development of the kingdom. Our kingdom will be established tonight. Get Vice City Lord Zheng and the others to discuss it and come up with a rough plan for the future development of the kingdom. I'll give you 2 hours to discuss it slowly. Don't be anxious. It doesn't matter if you don't have enough time. You can slowly perfect it in the future. I just want to see your general thoughts on how to develop the kingdom in the future. In the next 2 hours, I will prepare for the establishment of the kingdom. I'll look for you after I'm done here, Zhou Zhou said. When Bai Yun Wu Exai and the others heard this, even though they were already prepared, they still felt pleasantly surprised when they really heard it. Oh my God! Blazing Sun territory is about to become a kingdom. While they were excited, they were also emotional. How long had it been since their lord arrived in the high continent? 20 days tops, but he had already established a kingdom. These things did not happen even in novels. Even though he was supported by the supreme will, their lord's unbelievable territorial development methods were the important reason why they could reach their current state in such a short period of time. It could be said that the Blazing Sun territory wouldn't be where it was today without their lord. Even though they had played a lot of roles in this process, they were still far inferior to the lord's methods. Yes, I'll go now, Bai Yun and the others said respectfully, then went to look for someone. Seeing this, Zhou Zhou also returned to his beginner-grade lord's paradise. In the study room of the beginner-grade lord's paradise, Zhou Zhou sat on the chair behind the desk He was not in a hurry to establish a kingdom. Instead, he took out the 48 regional tokens he had obtained today and integrated them into his territory stone tablet. Then he waited quietly. A moment later, Zhou, who did not hear anything, raised his eyebrows slightly. He has more than 50 regional territories, but he didn't trigger a new lord announcement on the entire cerulean planet. Do I need 70 seats? Or 100 seats? He muttered to himself in confusion. The last time he fused with 30 regional territories, he triggered an all-channel lord announcement. He originally thought that more than 50 regional territories would be triggered again this time, but he did not expect it to not succeed. At this moment, a line of words that surprised him suddenly appeared in front of him. Supreme Will notification. When the number of regional territories owned by a lord exceeds 30, the basic conditions for establishing a beginner kingdom have been reached. If you obtain more regional territories now, you will not be able to obtain the Lord Announcement achievement for the entire channel. At this moment, the only way for the Lord to obtain the Lord Announcement achievement was to advance further and conquer kingdom-level Lord factions. Zhou frowned slightly, so that was how it was. Then the difficulty would be much higher. After thinking for a while, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. With his current Lord faction, it was not difficult for him to conquer more kingdom-level Lord factions. With his current Lord faction, it was not difficult for him to conquer more kingdom-level Lord factions. Then, he took out the supreme treasure chest rewarded by the Lord announcement on the cerulean planet. After opening the supreme treasure chest, he realized that there were 3 familiar crystals inside. Zhou's eyes widened. These 3 crystals were 3 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals. The supreme treasure chest is indeed worthy of its name. They really give me what I want. He looked at the 3 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals and could not help but smile. He now had a total of 5 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals. Apart from the 2 heroes who were going to be used to revive the Night Temple, he could keep the other 3 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals for himself. This way, if he and the people around him died in the future, he could use it to revive directly. Then, he put away the 3 Holy Spirit Tier Faith Divine Crystals and took out an orange crystal and a purple crystal. They were the Extraordinary Tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere and the Epic Tier Scarlet Lord Talent Sphere. The latter had dropped from King Taiyan. The former was obtained from the Scarlet Lord of one of the 48 regional territories in the Taiyan Kingdom. Zhou first purified the 2 of them before looking at their attributes. Treasure name, Lord Talent Sphere. King's Treasure Box, Treasure Grade, Extraordinary Tier. Treasure Effect. After absorbing it, the Lord will have an Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent King Treasure Box. Treasure Description. A Lord Talent Sphere purified by the Supreme Will. You can obtain a yellow gold Tier Lord Talent after absorbing it. Treasure name, Lord Talent Sphere. Talent Intuition. Treasure Grade, Epic Tier. Treasure Effect. After absorbing it, the Lord will have an Epic Tier Lord Talent, Talent Intuition. Treasure Description. A Lord Talent Sphere purified by the Supreme Will. After absorbing it, you can obtain an Epic Tier Lord Talent. King's Treasure Box. Innate Intuition. Zhou was delighted. Chapter 521 The King's Treasure Box. Talent Intuition. Zhou looked a little happy. These 2 Lord Talents seemed to be quite good. He immediately absorbed them without hesitation. This Extraordinary Tier Lord Talent Sphere immediately turned into countless orange spots of light and surged into his glabella. Zhou closed his eyes. A moment later, he reopened his eyes again after some time. Then, he saw a rectangular golden box appear in front of him. The box was carved with the beautiful golden patterns of dragons, phoenixes, and other auspicious beasts. It looked precious and mysterious. This is the King's Treasure Box? Zhou took it curiously. He looked over, and a text notification appeared. Treasure name, King's Treasure Box Soul Binder, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Treasure Grade, Special Tier. Treasure Effect 1/2 Plane Space. The King's Treasure Box is the King's storage treasure, which contains a dead and silent half-plane space that can store massive amounts of material. Treasure Effect 2, Automated Collection. After the owner of the king's treasure box kills the enemy and retrieves the loots can be automatically stored in the space of the king's treasure box. No other life forms can spy on the treasure inside. Treasure Effect 3, Spirit Accumulation. A treasure stored in the king's treasure box. After a long period of nurturing in the treasure box, the damaged treasure will slowly be repaired. There is a chance that intact treasures will give birth to spirituality, thereby improving the quality of the treasure. This spirit accumulation effect is only effective on treasures below the legendary tier. Treasure Description. A creation from the Lord Talent. It contains a half-plane space. It's a storage treasure that can only be chanced upon by luck. What a treasure! Zhou eyes lit up when he saw the ability of the king's treasure box. Recently, he had been worried that he had too many spoils of war, and his spatial ring could not hold them all. Originally, he was wondering if he should bring a storage ring with all 10 fingers to store his loots. This was timely. With this box, he no longer had to worry about not having enough storage space. It was an entire half-plane space that could even fit the territories of a few kingdoms. As for the spirit accumulation effect, it sounded good. However, he did not know what its specific effect was, and how long it would take to nurture it. Zhou looked at the king's treasure box in his hand. With a thought, he saw it disappear into thin air, and appear in the sea of consciousness between his brows. This was the effect of soul binding. Treasures that could directly bind souls could be directly stored in one's body. This was much safer than wearing it. As long as he didn't die, no one could steal a treasure from him. Then, he picked up another epic tier Lord Talent sphere and fused it. Then, he looked at its talent information expectantly. Lord Talent, Talent Intuition, Epic Tier. Talent Intuition. When you encounter an event that requires decisiveness, there is a chance to obtain an intuition that is like the help of the heavens, allowing you to make the right choice. Zhou frowned slightly. This Lord Talent was worthy of an epic tier Lord Talent? He pondered for a while, but his expression gradually became serious. What a talent, he muttered. Life. Life could be said to be formed by choices. At times, the right choice could allow a person to soar and save countless years of hard work. And a wrong choice could also cause a person to fall from heaven to hell. There was even no possibility of making a comeback and wasting his life. That was the importance of choices. And this epic tier Lord Talent, Talent Intuition, had a chance of making the right choice when faced with a choice. This meant that he did not have to take a detour. He might even obtain some great opportunities at some point. If I use this talent intuition well, the benefits it will bring me might not be inferior to the legendary tier Lord Talent, or even the mythical tier 1 and only Lord Talent. Zhou thought to himself. Such a Lord Talent is a blockbuster the moment it appeared. When he thought of this, he could not help but smile. He never expected an epic tier Lord Talent to give him such a huge surprise. Still, this Lord Talent might not bring him much benefits in the short term. He had to be prepared for this. However, this was nothing. Zhou had nothing but Lord Talent. It wouldn't work for a short period of time. The other 21 Lord Talents could still take turns to exert strength. Then, he thought of the information he had seen about King Tan. No wonder King Tan's information introduced that the other party has an astonishing sense of smell and decisiveness. He has made many important decisions for the development of the Tan Kingdom. So it has the extraordinary tier version of talent intuition. In addition, it later said that King Tan had brought a lot of losses to the Tan Kingdom because he trusted his sense of smell too much. He'll bear that in mind too. You can trust your talent intuition, but never blindly trust other intuitions. Zhou thought to himself. Then he looked at his Lord Talent. A total of 26 Lord Talents made him smile. There are so many Lord Talents. If I were to take a screenshot and post it on the World Channel, the others would be scared to death. Zhou thought with a smile. Then he took a deep breath. These Lord Talents were his foundation. However, they were not enough. If he wanted to surpass the lords of the myriad races, who had the foundation of top-notch races and civilizations, he would need even more powerful Lord Talents. Then, he stopped thinking, and took out the divine spark fragment of the God of Glimmer that he had found in Tian's treasure vault. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use it? Yes, Zhou immediately said, and then his consciousness went black. Zhou realized that he seemed to have become the God of Glimmer when the god was young. When the God of Glimmer was young, she lived in a place called the Darkness Continent. This was her hometown. On this continent, there was no sun, only endless darkness. And the Envoy of Light, who was born from the bonfire in the light, was the only living being race that followed the light on this mainland. The God of Glimmer, Solon, was such an Envoy of Light. Solon had always believed in the God of Light since she was born. All her life, she had used her light to explore the darkness, to destroy the dark monsters, to find a place for light to rest for those who could not live in the darkness. During this process, her strength also continuously increased until she grasped the power of the Glimmer Law and became a low-level god spirit, the God of Glimmer. Later on, she happened to pass through a teleportation array and arrived at the High Continent. She had originally thought that she would be able to find a higher path to advance as a god spirit on this even greater continent. However, she had an unfavorable start. She encountered an abyssal evil god in no time and was killed by it. The memories of the God of Glimmer's divine spark fragment stopped here. A text notification appeared. Please choose one of the following nomological skills belonging to the God of Glimmer. 1, 2, 3. Zhou looked at the 3 law skills. With the vague memories of the God of Glimmer, he immediately knew their nomological skills. 1 law skill, Glimmer Protection, low-level deity advanced grade. 2 law skill, Holy Light Sword, low-level deity advanced grade. 3 law skill, Fire Light, low-level deity advanced grade. Chapter 522, Upgrading Territory. Extraordinary Tier, Blazing Sun Territory. The first law skill, Glimmer Protection. It was somewhat similar to the law skill, Absolute Light, that Zhou had mastered. They could use their light laws to protect others from the negative environments of the outside world in the Scarlet Fog, or other dark environments. However, Absolute Light was a large-scale protection. Even though Glimmer Protection was not a large-scale protection, it could accurately protect everyone and prevent them from being attacked by the negative environment of the outside world for a long time. Furthermore, the Glimmer Protection could continue to work even if it was far away from the caster. As for Absolute Light, it could not be too far away from Zhou. It could be considered a very practical support law skill. The second law skill, Holy Light Sword, was a single-target law attack skill of the Law of Light. It also had additional law damage bonuses to enemies with darkness, negative, unholy, and other stats. The third law skill, Fire Light, was a group law attack skill of the Law of Light. Even though its power was weaker than the Light Hammer, its range of damage was extremely wide. Zhou pondered for a while and hesitated, not knowing which to choose. These 3 law skills would be very useful in the future. At this moment, he suddenly had an epiphany, and his gaze landed on the Holy Light Sword. It was as if the heavens were guiding him to choose this law skill, and tell him that this law skill would be very useful in the future. Zhou immediately reacted. His talent intuition was triggered. He did not expect this Lord talent to be triggered so quickly. However, since it had been triggered, Zhou no longer hesitated and directly chose the Holy Light Sword, a law skill. Zhou seemed to see a golden holy sword that reached all the way to the sky in the distance. It flowed with light that was like the first rays of dawn, and it looked like it was enthralled. The holy sword flew over from afar and entered his forehead in the blink of an eye. Zhou was shocked. He subconsciously touched his forehead and took out a mirror. In the mirror, he found that there was a holy sword mark on his forehead. He subconsciously touched his forehead and took out a mirror. In the mirror, he found that there was a holy sword mark on his forehead. The mark from the holy sword disappeared when he thought to hide it. The holy sword mark appeared again when he thought for it to appear. Interesting. Is this the manifestation of the law skill, Holy Light Sword? Why do I feel that this Holy Light Sword can connect with my Absolute Light law skill? Zhou thought to himself. It seemed that he had to find an opportunity to try and see if he could really connect. Then, he looked at the ability information of this law skill. Law skill name. Holy Light Sword. Law skill quality. Low-level deity advanced grade. Introduction to the law skill. Manipulate the power of the absolute light law skill. Condense a holy light sword to kill the enemy. It has additional killing effects on creatures of chaotic camps that are evil, dark, scarlet, and negative. The description was simple. However, as a law skill, its effect was destined to not be as simple as it was described. He took a few more glances and stopped thinking about it. Instead, he walked out of the beginner-grade Lord's Paradise and looked at the building in front of him. He silently chanted to upgrade his territory. 800 million units of basic materials, 500 white platinum tier mist cores, 2,000 origin crystals, 30,000 units of basic elemental gems, 9,000 units of high-level elemental gems, and 2 white platinum tier territory tokens disappeared. Boom! A golden light immediately covered the entire beginner-grade Lord's Paradise. A moment later, the golden light dissipated. The obviously expanded Lord Manor appeared in front of Zhou. Congratulations! Your beginner Lord's Paradise has successfully been upgraded to a white platinum tier advanced grade building. Your white platinum tier intermediate grade Essence Spirit Array has been successfully upgraded to white platinum tier advanced grade Essence Spirit Array. Your territory has been successfully upgraded to white platinum tier advanced grade territory. Territory stone endurance increased to 50 million/50 million. Your territory has expanded to 5,000 kilometers x 5,000 kilometers x 20,000 m. All fog monsters within the territory of the new territory have been expelled. Scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Basic Construction Blueprint Treasure Chest. White Platinum Tier Advanced Grade. Lord Talent Notification. The upper limit of the enemy Lord's power that you can use Insight Defection on has been increased to Legendary Tier. Lord Talent Hint. Your monster ranches can be upgraded. Lord Talent Hint. Your mysterious caravan faction has increased. Lord Talent Hint. The strength of the clergy in your Goddess of Lives shelter has increased. Zhou nodded slightly. Then, he looked at the requirements for the next level. Construction upgrade. 500 million units of wood, 500 million units of fine sand, 500 million units of metal, 500 million units of stone, 1,000 white platinum tier mist cores, 5,000 origin crystals, 100,000 units of basic elemental gems, 10,000 units of thunder elemental gems, 10,000 units of life elemental gems, 10,000 units of death elemental gems, 3 white platinum tier cities, 50 white platinum tier lifestyle professionals, 500 white platinum tier military professionals, 3 white platinum tier territory tokens. It's still the problem of high-level elemental gems. Zhou looked at the upgrade requirement and frowned slightly. There were a total of 20,000 life elemental gems and death elemental gems. Even if he had just obtained all the high-level elemental gems in the Taiyan Kingdom, he still could not satisfy the needs of the territory to level up. Looks like I have to hurry up and go to Titan Kingdom to take a look. Zhou muttered to himself. He still remembered that Li Yuangan said that among the nearby kingdoms, the Titan Kingdom had the most high-level elemental gem minerals. If he wanted to obtain more high-level elemental gem resources and continue to upgrade his territory, dealing with the Titan Kingdom was a must. Then, he came to the Gate of Summoning and spent 2,000 units of basic resources and 500 white platinum tier mist cores to upgrade it. Congratulations! Your Gate of Summoning has been successfully upgraded to a white platinum tier advanced grade building. You can summon plus 70 subjects every day. You will summon 80 professionals from the subjects every day. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 4, you can summon 1,715 subjects every day. You will summon 90 professionals from the subjects every day. Moreover, 5 of the professionals will have the same level as your territory. Zhou looked at its next level up requirement. Construction upgrade. 10 million units of wood, 10 million units of fine sand, 10 million units of metal, 10 million units of stone, 10 million white platinum tier mist core, to upgrade the territory level to extraordinary tier elementary grade. This request is the same as giving it for free. Zhou lamented. He was not too surprised. It's time to build a kingdom. Zhou came back to his senses and took a deep breath. Then he took out an extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate. He had also found this extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate in Tian's treasure vault. Originally, he had wanted to use the gradeless territory fusion certificate to fuse Blazing Sun City and the Tian Kingdom's capital. Now that he had this extraordinary tier territory fusion certificate, he naturally did not need the gradeless one. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use the territory fusion certificate, extraordinary tier? Yes, he replied. An illusory map appeared in front of him. It was a map of all the regions and territories that the Blazing Sun territory currently controlled. Zhou looked at the map. On this illusory map, there were still 12 regional territories, separating Blazing Sun City from the capital of the Tian Kingdom. When Zhou saw this, he first used the low-level territorial fusion proof to fuse all the regional territories between the two. Zhou had already obtained a lot of these low-level territory fusion certificates from Li Ya. In addition, he had obtained nearly 500 territory fusion certificates from the Tian Kingdom's treasure vault today, so he naturally was not lacking in this aspect. After fusing the separated territories, Blazing Sun City's territory level had already increased from white platinum tier to diamond tier. When Zhou saw this, he began to fuse Blazing Sun City and the Tian Kingdom's capital. Soon, he saw that on the illusory map, the boundary between the territory of the Blazing Sun territory and the capital of the Tian Kingdom gradually became blurry before finally disappearing. Then, rows of new text notifications appeared. You have chosen the capital of the Tian Kingdom, extraordinary tier regional territory, as the target of your initial territory fusion. Fusion in progress. Fusion successful. Congratulations, your initial territory, Blazing Sun Desert, Diamond Tier Regional Territory, has successfully fused with the Tian Kingdom's Imperial City, Extraordinary Tier Regional Territory. Your Blazing Sun Desert Diamond Tier Regional Territory has been significantly upgraded to an Extraordinary Tier Regional Territory. The range of your Blazing Sun Desert Extraordinary Tier Territory has increased significantly. Your Blazing Sun Desert Extraordinary Tier Territory has perfectly inherited all the resources of the original territory and the fusion territory. Please continue to fuse regional territories and increase the level of your regional territories. When Zhou saw this, a smile appeared on his face. I fulfilled the 3 conditions for establishing a kingdom. It's time to establish my kingdom. Chapter 523 Establishing a Kingdom. Zhou took out the kingdom token. A text notification appeared. Do you want to use the kingdom token? Yes, Zhou said excitedly. The kingdom token instantly emitted an incomparably intense golden light. This golden light was so intense that it even penetrated his beginner-grade Lord's paradise, and shone in all directions, allowing the living beings within a radius of thousands of kilometers, or even close to 10,000 kilometers to see it. Some life forms looked at this scene in surprise and guessed what had happened. Some of the older elders were very emotional when they saw this scene. Which lord is establishing a kingdom? The path of a kingdom is uncertain, especially in a place like the High Continent. I wonder how long this king can last for his kingdom. Decades? Hundreds of years? If he can last for 1,000 years, he'll be considered successful. The early stages of building a new kingdom are not so easy to pass. In a towering palace that was 1,000 meters tall in the Titan Kingdom, the current Titan King Fens was sitting on a desolate blood-red throne, staring coldly at the golden light in the distance. Is that the light of the kingdom token? Who has established a kingdom? Its expression was cold and irritable. The territory of the kingdoms around them was only so big. Originally, it was divided between Titan, Tian, Netherbark, and Aurora Kingdom. Now that there was suddenly an additional kingdom, it meant that they could originally get a quarter of the territory. Now they could only get a fifth or even less. The cake was only so big. Naturally, it wanted as few competitors as possible. My king, the direction of that light is in the direction of the human lord's territory. I think it's probably the human lord who destroyed our giant war army and killed the Iron Fang king, Siphon, to establish the kingdom. A loud priest wearing a colorful priest robe walked out and said worriedly. Upon hearing this, the Titan king, Fen's expression became even gloomier. The Titan kingdom only had 5 heroes to begin with. Its national strength had greatly decreased because of that human lord who killed one of the heroes. Furthermore, it had yet to obtain the benefits of the Tian kingdom. It could be said that it hated that human lord to the core, but at the same time, it seemed to have thought of something, and a look of unwillingness flashed across its eyes. The Lord of the Blazing Sun. According to the report, this guy can command nearly 10 million troops, and each soldier is very strong. Even if the entire Titan kingdom is full of soldiers, our total military strength is only 5 million. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult even if we can fight them. The Titan king muttered to itself. The priest below the hall looked at its majesty's expression. It could roughly guess even though it could not hear its king clearly. It took the initiative to say, "Your Majesty, I don't know where that human lord found tens of millions of troops. With such troops, he will definitely target our Titan kingdom's high-level elemental gem mine in order to quickly level up his territory. Even though the war between us and the other party has yet to begin, the future will definitely appear. We have to be prepared." The priest said solemnly. What does the priest have in mind? Just say it. The Titan king Fens glanced at it and said indifferently, "Your Majesty, we were threatened by that human lord. Isn't the Netherbark kingdom, which is adjacent to that human lord, the same? I suggest that we join forces with the Netherbark kingdom and find a few allies to deal with that human lord together." The priest said respectfully, if it was in the past, the proud Titan king, Fens, would definitely not care about joining forces with other countries. But at this moment, Fens didn't say anything as it thought about the intelligence on the Lord of the Blazing Sun's military strength. It just pondered silently. Netherbark Kingdom. In the Pope's palace. At this moment, the Pope's palace had just finished the god-bestowing ceremony and completed the replacement of the new and old Pope. However, what the citizens of the underworld Bark Kingdom did not know was that just as the handover of their beloved new Pope ended, another simple and low-key funeral was held in the worship hall of the Gobi. In the worship hall, the new Pope, Floyd, and the old Pope, Cronin, were looking at the transparent crystal coffin surrounded by flowers in silence. There were no corpses in the transparent crystal coffin, only some simple clothes and relics. My master's death spirit servant actually died just like that. And on a day like today, Floyd had a head of resplendent, slightly curly blonde hair. His entire body emitted a faint golden luster, and he looked like a creature from Greek mythology. He looked at the death spirit servant, Sakamo's crystal coffin, and sighed. He did not look too regretful. He and the old Pope Cronin were from 2 different factions in the Pope's palace. There had always been many conflicts between them. The undead servant Sakomo belonged to the old Pope's faction. He was dead, even though it was not a good thing for the entire Netherbark Kingdom. That might not be the case to him. The old Pope Cronin glanced at Floyd and saw through his thoughts. I've already retired. Sakomo would have become your power sooner or later. Don't you feel sorry that he's dead? Aren't you afraid that you won't have enough experts when the human lord comes knocking on your door? You're tuning in to the Limei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.